Record here. All right.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
I was drinking.
That's not 4.
I was drinking. Do again. Do again.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
4.
Very good.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Hello, and welcome to our Death Stranding review. I'm Dop.
I'm here.
You're okay. He's Jarod. For fuck's sake. So just to give you guys stop. So just give you guys a little quick overview of what we did. We just played Death Stranding. Well, I say just played. That was like what, a month ago, 2 months ago,
Something like that, yeah.
but we played it kind of awkwardly. We played it co-op style, through Parsec. Through
Mhm.
Parsec. So we took turns, kind of. You get 4 hours here, and I get 4 hours here. Parsec is, by the way, owned by Unity now. So
Oh.
just
Unity.
just so you guys know, we're ahead of the times, even before
We're-
Unity CEO. Okay, we know what's up.
We're pioneers.
Yeah, we're pretty good. So before we get into the spoiler section, I wanna talk about what we expected going into this.
Okay.
I think to start off, why do we pick this game? Like, why do we do this to ourselves?
I think both of us saw it had the potential to be something entirely different. Like it was outright curiosity. We both said, for them to want to have a game that looks like this from the promotional material, there must be something extremely unique happening towards the end or something like that.
Yeah, I think we both tend towards like weird games that
Mhm.
don't follow the standard whatever procedure, process, whatever it is. I guess more specifically, what did you expect we were gonna play? Because I know what I expected.
I was hoping there would be sort of you remember that game Robocraft?
Yeah, I love Robocraft.
I was expecting Metal Gear Solid 5 Robocraft with Lego assembly containers and stuff.
You wanted a Norman Reedus Gundam,
Yeah, that would be sick. Yeah.
which, spoiler alert, we kind of didn't get, did we? Like, we didn't
No.
really get there.
No.
I was expecting. What is that very first walking simulator game? I think it was Gone Home or something.
Gone Home, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that made it super popular, right? Where
Mhm.
all you did was you walk around, you open closets, and you read people's diaries, and that was the whole game.
Yes.
There's no combat. There was I think music was a big factor in it because they played Apocalyptica in one of their trailers,
Yes, I remember this, yeah.
and I was like, dude, if you're gonna play Apocalyptica, like as the background music for this game, I'm in, because I'm
Mhm.
old and I know who they are. I think that's kind of Kojima going, I'm old and I have better music taste than you do. Because
I just assumed it was
I'm willing
some
to
kind of
bet
product
he
placement.
picked that song.
This could be experience talking, but I was thinking it was some kind of product placement deal, maybe. Like he cut another deal. He was like Apocalyptica, and
Maybe.
I'll
Maybe
make, like,
those guys in the band appeared in the game, we just didn't recognize them. Actually, that's very
Very
likely.
likely.
Yeah, that's very likely. Speaking of appearing in the game, I just learned that Guillermo del Toro, who obviously is in this game, I just learned that he appeared in a couple episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
What is he doing there? What?
So what happened was he this is kind of a tangent, so I'll be quick. He put Charlie Day in Pacific Rim.
Oh, I see.
Charlie is one of the scientists in Pacific Rim, which I've seen Pacific Rim. I didn't recognize him as Charlie. I was like, oh shit, that is Charlie. And he cut a deal with him. He said, I'll put you in my movie if you put me into some insane situation in Always Sunny. And Charlie was like, fuck yeah, of course. So he appeared in there as a you remember the McPoyles?
No.
They're like incestuous half-naked brothers that is implied to be having sex with each other.
Amazing.
Yeah, and he plays their uncle, like their crazy uncle. It's
Beautiful.
perfect. It's insane. It's perfect.
So
Anyway.
so the payoff was insane, yeah.
Yeah, the payoff was insane. It was great. So anyway, I expected Gone Home. I expected him to tell me like a wacky but really good story.
Sure, yeah.
And required very little input on my part, other than walk from here to here, take this, take it over there. I did not get what I wanted.
Yeah. I remember you complaining loudly about that.
Yeah. And I will again very soon.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think neither of us got what we wanted going into this.
You know what that is, Johnny?
What?
When nobody gets what they want, it's a compromise.
You know who didn't compromise? In this game? Kojima.
He could have standed for some of that, yeah.
Yeah, he could have compromised this for a better gameplay.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Jared, what happens in Death Stranding? And obviously, spoiler warning from this point on.
Whoa! This is my thing. Let me handle that. Obviously, check with your medical professional to see if spoilers are right for you before you proceed. Side effects may occur. All right. So,
no.
Story of Death Stranding has a very simple message, but it's spread out in a road trip, basically. We're introduced to Sam Porter Bridges Strand.
America.
Sorry. Who is a simple porter. It's an essential occupation in this new death world. People have to stay inside because the rain ages everything. So he just shuttles stuff from point A to point B, presumably for likes. We didn't hear anything about other kinds of compensation in the game, right?
I forgot about that. Boy, do I have gripes about that.
Yeah, so presumably the only compensation he receives for doing his job is social media style likes for, various parameters of the job. Leaving that aside is kind of silly. We're introduced to a capital city on the East Coast, where there's sort of a situation with a series of ghosts. A dead body, which was around due to various circumstances, is in the process of being assimilated by the death ghosts that are everywhere, or some such thing. And our task is to shuttle it to a place where it can be disposed of. We fail, and the body, as bodies do, explodes violently. At this point, we're introduced to the central theme or mission of the game, which is America is totally fucked. Dead bodies are exploding everywhere. The solution, or the next step in our state of being fucked, is to create a continent-spanning network, a chiral network, to connect all the fractured citizens of America and introduce some manner of hope or change, or what have you. The sitting president of America begs us to help her do this on her deathbed, and then she promptly dies. I think she vomits yeah?
You mind if I cut in here for a second? And
Please
ask you to define chirality? Because I think some viewers might not know what the word chirality means. What is a chiral network?
What is a chiral network, Johnny? I don't... Okay, so chiral crystals and chiral material, chirality is the central, MacGuffin, or it's like the Final Fantasy's ether, or Star Trek's warp core. It
is Final Fantasy's crystal, isn't it?
Yes, it's any new technology or any fancy thing in this story will be powered by chiral technology.
Yeah.
So this is from a codex. It might not be a complete understanding, but chiral crystals are essentially material from the other plane, like the plane past death or something like this, that can't really exist under normal rules on our side of death, right?
Our side of death.
Yeah, because it's a place, right? It's an actual beach, so...
Okay, yeah, fair.
Yeah. So, We looked up the definition at one point, and it's like duality, but not exactly symmetrical. Like if you overlaid them, they would be reversed.
Yeah, same but opposite.
Same but exactly, yeah.
I mean, the easiest is the hands, right? Is the hands. Yeah.
Right, which is why hands are everywhere in the goddamn game.
God damn it. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah. So that's why we're trying to build a chiral network, because it has all kinds of fancy properties. Like at one point they theorized that whatever you were sending into the chiral network was doing something with time, like maybe it was being sent backwards or forwards.
Yeah, remember that whole part of the game where I thought we were communicating with the past or the future?
I do remember that.
Because they kept talking about how the chiral network messes with time.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't go anywhere with that. Right.
That's exactly right, yeah. They made a very big deal about saying how miraculous the chiral network was, because you would be able to send so much data at once that it must have something to do with time, otherwise it would make no sense.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that, of course, in the vehicles that the game lets you build. They materialize in like a matter of seconds. So obviously it's incredible. But time would make that make sense.
I thought that was just... I never even thought about that. I thought that was just video games.
Well, sure, yeah. You don't want to have to wait forever for your thing, but I assume that would be the justification they give.
Yeah, like once again, Final Fantasy crystals. It's the power of the crystals. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, they ask you basically to be this guy who will go across the country and help connect the network and bring everybody back together. Bring everybody back, basically get everybody back onto AOL, because the chat rooms are empty and we need some activity to get everybody on the same page. And you're the perfect man for this job because you have a special ability. You're a repatriate, you're a repatriate. You can come back from death. So essentially, they sign you up for infinite death and suffering because it has no consequence to you.
I wasn't expecting you to go into so much death during the story.
Oh, that's right. You wanted broad strokes, right?
Yeah. No, it's fine. This is okay. It's just not what I expected, like the game.
Judge. I mean, that's the end of the broad strokes, right? They want you to reconnect the whole country and bring everybody back together, because...
Yeah, I guess the rest of it would actually be spoilers.
Right.
Which you gave a warning about, so it's fair game, I suppose. Is that all you want? Like, you can keep going.
That's all I had, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a fine premise, right? You gotta go out there and get places.
I think my tone when approaching this game is kind of given away already, but I didn't particularly like it. When you were giving the broad strokes, which I haven't heard before, I didn't know what you were gonna say. Right. But I was simultaneously intrigued by the setup, because that's a really cool setup for a game.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Bodies explode when they die.
Right.
You can't be out in the open because the rain kills you.
Right.
Whatever. You can build things whenever, connect people. But I was simultaneously falling asleep when I was...
Oh, sorry.
No, that's not that's not on you. That's not on you. This setup is incredibly cool. Also, I'm falling asleep.
Yeah.
Because it has the setup of a 6-hour Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the actual themes of the game and the plot points that it hits, it doesn't hit nearly as many plot points as Lord of the Rings actually did.
Right. There's a lot more moment-to-moment execution in stories that you're mentioning, as opposed to here. There is moment-to-moment, but it's just not that. It's not that interesting.
It's not, because I guess what it is I'm comparing this to Lord of the Rings because the whole time before I watched the movies, I don't know anything about Lord of the Rings. So when I'm watching the movies, I'm like, oh, there's tiny hobbit people. They're actually tiny, right? They go up to like Gandalf's like shins or something.
Right.
And that's really interesting. And what are the ramifications of that? And then you see them go into a tavern and they can't reach anything.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I'm learning about this world and little things like hobbits being tiny and the ring wraiths being scary horse people that are like not very material. And then you get this moment to moment of like, okay, I learned that they're half ghosts. So what does that mean? That means they can like travel at ridiculous speeds, and you don't really know where they are, and it's all really cool. Whereas like in Death Stranding is, oh, you learned about this really cool thing like the BTs. They're half invisible. They walk around on their hands. But then what? It's just like, oh, don't let them touch you because the game over.
Right.
And that was the extent of it. That was it.
I'll give you an example. The people of the game, the peoples that you're trying to help protect and get connected, right? The people, from our perspective, they're just locations. Every character in the game is just a shed. You could replace them with a shed where they live, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't really make much sense. You don't see the world building isn't as strong is the point you're trying to make, I think. And that's because these locations just kind of exist in a vacuum. They try to establish it some world building by showing you other people who do the same job Sam does. You know, you'll bump into them from time to time, but very rarely. And basically the implication is that 4 or 5 guys per state move everything everywhere and nobody leaves their house. It's like, it's a crazy concept, but the actual way that is borne out is kind of, it just leaves the world looking empty and uninteresting.
I think in our, I want to say 40, 50 hour playthrough, we ran into maybe 3 groups of those people.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, and if you think about the length of the actual time that occurs in-game, this would have to be at least months.
Yeah.
At least months. Running into 3 groups is unrealistic.
True, yeah. You'd have to expect caravans of... That's another video game thing, though, right? The mules, the people who... The bad actors version is much more common than the good version that would keep things going, keep society established.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Also, like, you're talking about the shacks. So, in the game, everybody's hiding in their underground bunkers from the rain, which means that every time you go up to someone's house, I guess, or base, whatever they want to call it, you interact with
not. Whenever you go to they're not.
Right. No, but what I meant is you interact with the interface, which you talk to them through FaceTime, basically.
Yeah.
A more advanced version of FaceTime. So you don't really see them. So you just talk to an interface, and then you get something from the interface to deliver to another interface. So the whole time we were doing that, I was giving the game way more credit than it deserved in that setup. Remember, I was thinking, like, there's nobody in there.
Right. You were trying to come up with some kind of twist to explain why everything was so empty and boring.
Yeah. I mean, the empty, you can explain away with the water.
Right.
With the rain. But what didn't make sense was, and this only occurred in the game, I think twice.
Yeah.
Where they open the door to greet you.
Yeah.
Because every interface is properly covered. They have a little doorway that's safe. So which means they can come out and just be like, hey man, thanks. But they don't do that.
Right.
Like ever. Which makes no sense because this is the one guy that can bring you food. you know?
Right. People are calling it like prophetic because they relate to this so much from the pandemic, right? Because you got to do contactless delivery and stuff, but that doesn't really fit here. It's just kind of weird that nobody period talks to you ever.
No, because like when you order food, you open the door and you go, hey, thanks, man. Right? You don't.
Well, no, not anymore. Now you do contactless because you got.
Oh, he leaves it at the door and leaves.
Right.
Ah, okay.
I know that's not an option for you, but for most people, they do contactless.
Which, that makes sense, but still not in the sense of their story. Because the rain is not a disease that stays on their hand.
Exactly, yeah. It's,
once it hits their hand, it's just water.
I think the big issue we're seeing is that like we keep looking for a depth of exploration of how the world currently is, but all the depth for this game is in the codex, which is in like philosophizing about where did the Death Stranding come from, what is the actual nature of death, all kinds of philosophical questions and less practical ones.
Yeah. This kind of digs into the next topic. So why don't we just move on into the next one? Because we're kind of already talking about it anyway.
All right.
So you explained the gameplay loop a little bit already.
Yeah.
But not in terms of just purely a video game, which I'll try to do this. And I apologize if the loop sounds boring because it kind of just is.
Mm-hmm.
You, like I said, you talk to an interface of some sort. And they go, some big important thing is happening. You gotta connect our nodes. You gotta rebuild the internet. So
Right.
while you're delivering packages, you might as well help us reconnect the internet.
Right.
Because you gotta do this anyway. So they give you a package from the interface. Once again, you barely actually see people in this game. Mm-hmm. You get the package, you walk out into the quote unquote open world, and either by walking or ziplining or biking or whatever sorts of transportation you got, you head to the next interface, the next town.
Mm-hmm.
And basically you just rinse and repeat, and you go from town to town to town. Sometimes they have you backtrack a little bit, but generally speaking, you travel in one direction until you hit the end. And then you find another direction and you travel in that direction.
Yeah, it could adequately be described as one long series of fetch quests.
Right. And they throw a lot of things in the way. Like you said, they throw the evil Amazon people that are package crazy. So they try to take your package. Later on, they do try to kill you. They do have guns and they're trying to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
But generally speaking, they're after your packages. So that's one antagonist. And the other main antagonist is the BTs, which is the ghost hand people, which are only specific in BT-infested areas, as far as I can tell.
I think they can pop out anywhere that it rains.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's hard for me to tell, because I don't know if the rain only hits specific areas or if it could be anywhere. Yeah, I don't really know.
Honestly, at the pace we were going, it was never an issue where we had to know the difference. It was like, okay, this is here. I'll either walk around, or I'll drive through it, or I'll shoot them. It wasn't really like a plot by course kind of thing.
Right. So as you're going from interface to interface delivering things, you run into the mules and you run into the BTs, and you kind of handle both of them the same way, right? You have some sort of thing that stops them or helps you get away, and generally speaking, you're avoiding killing them until like really late in the game where you kind of can. But you get past their zone of influence with your packages intact, and that's about it. They drop different kinds of materials, which is for gameplay purposes. You use them to build things, basically.
I would say you say you're giving some care to the way you handle the mule sections, but for most of the time, I want to say like 3/4 of the game, mule zones for me was like a drive-through. You know what I mean? Like you get a vehicle and you're just like, okay, this is not an issue because your boy's mobile. I got a bike and these guys are like trying to, bite my ankles. I'm just gonna drive past and it's not gonna be a problem.
And I told you this going in. I was like, hey, I watched some pre-release interviews of Kojima, and he keeps talking about how this game's not about violence.
Oh boy.
It's not the, what was it? It's not the stick, it's the rope.
Right.
Which, in his defense, being able to just be like, hey, I don't like fighting, I'm just gonna run away, being an option, is sticking true to his rope scenario.
Sure.
It's like I don't have a stick, I'm just gonna go. Which, yeah, okay, that's fine. But
I'm sensing a but here.
Yeah, but this is kind of subjective. This is kind of subjective on my part, which is I like it one way or another. You either let me enjoy my leisure walk.
Okay.
Right? Walk through, beautiful scenery, whatever, nice music on my way to the next interface. Or you throw some combat my way, so I defeat some people and I feel good about it. And then I go.
Wait, hang on. I have something to say about this.
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from, and I kind of agree. But I'll go a step further. Is I would excuse me, sorry about that. I would say I want more more curated like actual campaigns because the few seconds that you really have to commit to AI is before you have a vehicle, before you have an easy way out. They're like, the thing is in the mule camp. You got to get in there. You got to deal with it. And probably you're going to have to sneak. And that was never actually a problem because the AI is not really interesting. So basically, you can just rub your whole face on their camp, headbutt them, punch them in the dick, take what you need to leave.
You think that was because we were playing on normal mode and not hard mode?
I don't think so, because when it's one-on-one with just you and one other guy, even if they had, for example, more, like they were harder to knock out, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
In hard mode, that would just mean you punch them for a longer period of time. They stand there blocking you, and they don't dodge, they don't interrupt your attack. You can solo them. So that's just a matter of like managing. They don't call for help. You anti-ping so they don't know you're there, and you just wail on them.
See, you mentioned a couple of times the fetch quest has stuff in the mule camp. They force you to go in there to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot more reminiscent of NGS 5. In the case of like, here's an enemy camp. There's people in there you have to rescue. So you got to get in there.
Right.
Or they're holding something, some nuke, they're holding some dogs. You got to get in there and get out. So you can either do it stealth or just murder everybody because you're Snake, or you're not Snake. You're Anyway, you're Big Boss. That was more interesting than this, which is most of the time you can, like you said, run in there, grab it, and just leave with no consequences.
Right. They could have done with some.
In MGS 5, they'll shoot you when you die.
Right. Yeah. What they could have really done with, which wouldn't make that sense thematically, obviously, but they could have done with some structure that would slow your way out, so that you have to plan your ingress and egress. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If they had a building, if they had some walls. And egress. Okay. Yeah, man.
All right.
I'm coming at this from the stealth perspective, because you're saying either give me walk or give me fight, right? But I'm saying they seem to want to be in the middle, and they seem to also want a third option, which is stealth, but it's just not interesting because there's not enough pushback. That's the bottom line for me.
Which I brought in MGS5 in like specifically because they did it right in there.
Mm-hmm.
They did it right there, so how'd you fuck it up here? I don't understand. Because MGS5, every time they ask me to go, here's a scary enemy base, I'm excited. I'm like, all right, how am I gonna do this?
Yeah.
What do I bring with me? What am I doing? Like, what do I do?
Yeah, I didn't play 5, but I'm sure there were some restrictions to what you could use. I'm sure there was some like challenge actually getting to what you needed. I'm sure it wasn't clear cut getting out, right?
Yeah. It's not, and like I said, just because you got to the thing, you can't just walk out because they'll shoot you.
Mm-hmm, exactly, yeah.
So there's a lot of consideration in like, do I do the stealth? Do I do the stealth while killing people? Do I do the stealth while not killing people? There's a lot of consideration that you gotta do. And they also rate you differently in MGS5, depending on how you do it.
Right. I bet you can think of like 5 things off the top of your head. What would you do to really discourage people if you could not kill them? You'd be like, okay, I'm going to have, first of all, like electric fence. They're not going to like that shit. Something like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Or like the BTs, the goo slows you down.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just run from BTs. You actually got to sneak around, because once they goo you, it's a pain in the ass, right? So you want to be stealthy.
Right.
Which we do. We try to sneak through the BT areas to avoid that annoyance of like, oh god, fucking gooed again.
I think honestly, okay, so this is an okay point to bring this up, is that I took a look at the critical response for this game, because I felt like our reaction to it was way more negative than maybe what was going on
yeah.
in the wider sphere. Because we just kept looking for where is more engaging, you know what I mean? Where's the like you said with the whole time thing, like where's the other shoe gonna drop? You know, what's next? Because every scenario, correct me if I'm wrong here, every scenario we kind of went in, it felt like you just had to be like, oh, okay, well, there's an obvious thing that I can do. I'm just gonna like start tromping through and not really worry about it too much. It's just a patience game. You know what I mean? Like you just keep doing what you need to do, and the thing will work itself out. You don't have to actually apply any kind of creative problem solving. So I looked at the critical. I look at the critical response, and this is sort of what they say. They say that it's not that engaging, it's not that fast or interesting in the moment to moment, and they bring up like issues they have with the movement system. Like, oh, we haven't even gotten into that. How just walking.
No, not yet, not at all.
Yeah, But they also, on the other hand, which is strange to me, they act like every situation is a Rubik's Cube that allows for creativity, which I honestly didn't get that much. They say like every terrain, you have to pay close attention and like solve it like a little puzzle. And I honestly didn't feel that way.
That is not true at all.
Yeah, I'm just going to hold forward and I'll get there eventually. And if there's a hill that I really can't get up, I'll just go like 30 degrees to the right and slowly go up the less steep side. You know what I mean?
Like, what do they say? Limitations breed creativity, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this particular case, the limitations are too lax. You have too many options.
Absolutely, for sure, yeah. Like,
so then your creativity, you don't need to be creative because here's 30 things you can do and you can use any of them to get through this problem, which in response to that, our response to that is, well, I'll just go with whatever I currently have on me then.
Exactly. That was ours. I'll give you, like, okay, so for example, right? The other part of that's missing from that is the return, right? If your likes were a currency that you had to use, then poor performance would mean you had less stuff on hand and you'd be like, okay, I guess I'll have to do more. But for us, we were like, wait, what do we get from this? And you were like, more likes. And I was like, okay, check this shit out. And I started cartwheeling down heels with stuff like just rolling behind. And then when you get to the bottom, you pick it up, you put it on your back, and you be like, I guess this motherfucker is going to be mad. Let's go. Chomp, 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 you know?
Yeah. And then S rank?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It just felt very open. Maybe this is, another consequence of us just being old men and expecting adventures that are more like slightly more linear in their requirements and expectations of us. But when you give us this wide open field and it's like all you have to do is go down the middle, we just go down the middle. Like, okay,
yeah,
well,
you say that as if like because we're older we want theme park experiences, but like I still play Minecraft and enjoy that.
Oh, true, yeah.
So that can't be it. Like that can't be the only reason why we're like, man, what is actually happening, man? Bring me down the corridor. No, I don't want a corridor. Like, nah, that's not it.
True, yeah. So okay, so hang on. Where did I put this? I noted basically that the things we keep complaining about, that the movement isn't that fun to use, or we didn't really feel like we were solving any problems, or things didn't really seem to push back on us enough. Everybody in critical reviews seemed to mention the same things. And then at the end of the review, they would get to like 85 out of 100, not 9 out of 10, 7.9.
Yeah, as if those things didn't deduct points.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny because maybe this is another like a Kojima kind of thing where when people review it, when they review it like they would any video games. Here are the flaws of the gameplay. Here's parts where it's not fun. Because a video game that's not fun is the worst possible thing, right?
Sure.
So, obviously there's games that make you feel bad, but in that I argue the fun is in the experience of the emotion that it invokes. It's still fun.
Sure.
It's just invoking a different experience. Whereas, when I say it's not fun here, is it didn't invoke any emotion.
Yeah, I would say neither of us were really engaged. Well, mostly because we kept expecting some reasonable explanation for why things were so silly. Or maybe that's just me. I think you probably were expecting silly because, you played 5, right? So, that's just how we do.
Yeah. But, oh crap, I forgot what I was going to say. Remember that review we saw, which you told me, which is like, somebody said, you'll feel every emotion playing this game.
Right, yes.
And we're sitting there 90% through the game going like, the only thing I felt so far is frustration.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's an emotion, technically. But
yeah, like, so we talked about the gameplay loop and how we didn't really feel engaged by it or pressured to solve problems or perform or even pay attention, right?
And I'm not even done with explaining that yet. Yeah, no, I got more. Yeah, I got more complaints about the loop.
Yeah, hey, welcome to my review of Death Stranding. It's about 40 hours. In order to enjoy the full depth of the review, you need to get through the first 25 hours.
We're also going to sit here through every Codex conversation. Because that's how you properly play this game.
Yeah, but so what I was saying is, all that is fine if it serves a really engaging story that rewards you paying attention.
Mhm.
But we also felt the ball was dropped over there. We were like, okay, so what's the payoff? And it's something really goofy or really uninteresting. And I have a review that backs me up. Tell me if this sounds like an 85 out of 100 to you.
Okay.
Which publication this come from? I can't remember which publication this comes from, but it says, much of the finer details are told in uninteresting ways, whether it's through lengthy, overwrought cutscenes, overlong text-heavy emails, or rambling radio chatter. The mythology is a baffling soup of nouns, and I found the characters hard to love despite the extraordinary realism of their tear-strewn faces.
Yeah, so that's a much more eloquent way of saying what we just did.
Yeah, 85 out of 100.
Yeah, in a game that's all about the story.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that's fair. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, it's like I maybe I didn't finish my thought from earlier, which is they review the game as if it's a video game, and when they get to the end, when they want to give it points, they give it points based on as if this is a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, no, you reviewed it as a video game, so you award points as if it's a video game. You can't just swap when you're about to give it points.
Right.
Yeah, it's what?
No, yeah.
What?
I mean, yeah, it's pretty, and yeah, it's definitely technically very interesting, but the moment to moment is really just kind of like, ugh.
Because I think I might be speaking for you here, but if we were to purely rate this as a movie, we'd see it as better than we do now.
Yeah, because the movie would be shorter.
It'll be shorter. You cut out the travel, and you would just get the character interactions.
Yeah, absolutely. If it were just like how long would you say? Like 3 or 4 hour movie?
Mm-hmm.
If it were just a 3 or 4 hour movie, I would remember it strictly for the beach scene where they're running, and I was like, Johnny, is this real? Is this really? And
what was that? What was that? I still don't know. We're 2 months past finishing the game. I still don't know what that was. What was that?
That will live in my head rent-free for the rest of time. I'll be on my deathbed talking to my kids, and they'll be like, Grandpappy, what was life like back before everything was ruined forever and the world burned to ashes? And I'll be like, Princess Beach. And they'll be like, what the fuck was that?
I'm telling you right now, that has to have been a reference to something. Maybe. Either a really old movie that Kojima really likes or one of his old games. It has to be.
Maybe.
Like, that cannot possibly just be a thing by itself. So those of you that, maybe some of you don't know what we're talking about. So towards the very end of the game, like 95% through the game, through some very, very dramatic scenes, we see Sam and one of the major characters, Amelie?
Amelie, yep.
Amelie, yeah. So we just see them running romantically, chasing each other romantically through a beach.
Yeah.
In slow motion with some sort of... what kind of music was playing? I don't quite remember.
I can't remember the music. All I remember is the confusion.
It definitely wasn't dramatic music. It was light-toned.
Yeah.
Romantic music. Now, this is sandwiched in between very, very dramatic scenes.
Yeah.
We run together.
Run?
Yeah. Like Mario and Princess Beach.
No.
That was a dad joke. That was a dad
unforgivable.
Joke. What?
How do you feel about this now?
What? What? She's running in heels on the beach.
Yeah. Because she is Princess Beach. This is really weird. And...
Wait here, okay?
Excuse me, that was a real sequence?
And it really did happen.
And we both just kind of like virtually looked at each other and be like, what is happening? Like,
absolutely.
why?
if we were sitting next to each other playing this, that would definitely be like a full eye contact, like shrug, like you got anything for this?
Like you can't even make a joke because you don't know what's happening. You can't even make a joke. So I want to fully explain how ridiculous that is. These two characters are not romantically involved in any way you look at it.
She's his surrogate sister mom.
Yeah. So that scene where he was chasing her romantically in slow-mo through the beach. What? Like what?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't understand. I'm gonna backtrack into closing off the gameplay loop conversation.
Okay.
I basically covered it. You go from interface to interface. You fight mules and BTs on the way while delivering packages. And every few deliveries, you get a big character interaction plot, CG kind of thing, right? You get more of the story and all that.
Yes.
And in between these deliveries, at every stop, you get to sort of rest up, you heal up, you re-equip all your heals, your weapons, your whatever, all sorts of transportation things. But as we were just complaining about, the game eventually gives you a dozen, if not more, equipment things to pick from to engage in the mules and the BTs and climbing challenges too, because you have ladders, ropes, and stuff like that. But number one, it doesn't really matter what you bring.
Yeah.
Because what ended up happening was I don't know about you, because you liked shooting the BTs and the people a lot more than I did, so I kind of just tried to get past those sections as quickly as I can.
Right.
So I ended up bringing nothing. I didn't bring a machine gun. I didn't bring grenades.
I remember being like, you don't want some of those fancy toys we got? And you're like, nah, it's good like this.
Yeah, so I know I still had the blood pistol. I still brought that.
Yeah.
But that was it. That's all I brought, and it was fine. And this was towards the late game. So here's a bunch of stuff on the wall. Look how pretty all the guns are. You don't really need any of it.
Right. I want to say one more thing about the game. This is about the fine details of gameplay, so I don't know if you want to bring back this or like if we're not, we might not get back to it, right? But
nah, hit it up. It's fine.
It's really cool in terms of like all the different interactions you can definitely do. As far as that goes, it's really neat. Like all the interactive systems, like build this on top of this, connect this right here. It's really cool. But one thing that I was surprised about is like usability wise, it's just a tiny bit clunky. Like I'll give you an example, right? I'll remember this one for free for the rest of the time also is like I remember one time I'm trying to run and every time I start running, I would immediately stop and I'm like, what is going on? Do you remember this?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
And it's because running doesn't unequip some of the things you can have in your like main hand equipment. And in this case, it was because I had my dick out because I was trying to pee, and I was like, okay, peeing's done, time to run. And running didn't unequip pee from like active pee.
Yeah, your right hand was gripping your dick, solidly gripping your dick, so you couldn't run properly. No, it sounds funny, but that's actually what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And I had the exact same scenario, I think, only a few hours into the game. Like my first or second time.
Oh, yeah, you did!
Where I was holding a rope in my right hand, and I couldn't climb, and I kept, like, stumbling and falling, and we're both like, I don't know, why is it harder? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
But like you said, it doesn't make sense, because if you are trying to run, then put it away. Obviously, I'm trying to run.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
So you're talking about these interactive systems. I keep bringing back MGS5, which is fair. It's his last game. Sure. One of the most famous videos or popular videos people have seen is when they fight Quiet, the sniper girl that's half naked. Mm-hmm. What people would do is, because she's a sniper, she takes a shot, she hides behind a rock. She takes a shot, she hides behind a rock. And your whole thing is you're trying to get close enough to do something to stop her.
Right.
And what people ended up figuring out they could do is they could call in supplies on top of her head.
That's really funny.
So they call in the supply, giant fucking crate falls on top of her head, knocks her out, and the sequence is done. And that was amazing, because you're like, that's not what that's for, but that makes sense.
Right.
Uh, not so much here. Where's the you put up a ladder and then you fight a mule near the ladder and you kick the ladder and it falls on his head and he gets knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, there was some of that. Like, I mean, obviously, we were delighted when we discovered that we could throw boxes into people's faces. I don't know about you, but that was like topless for me. I was like,
Are you kidding me?
this.
I fought Higgs like that, you remember?
That's right. Well, I think that's how you're supposed to, but yeah, exactly, yeah. You're just like, donk? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was actually really fun. But
you know what? I think
once again, that was a curated experience. That was fun.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I wanted to sort of, like, we're being really negative on the game despite its like technical prowess, right? And so I wanted to say, knowing what we know now, what type of person do you think Death Stranding is for, right? Like, this will be a real challenging question because you're saying it's definitely not for like the Gone Home crowd. I'm saying it's definitely not for the heavily invested combat crowd or the really engaging gameplay crowd. It's
absolutely
like
not. Not a DMC crowd. Absolutely not.
It's I feel like we can't even predict this because it's for somebody who, for some reason, will see putting a ladder in one scenario versus like walking around to save time. We'll be like, I feel like I solved this like a puzzle. It's incredible. Like we can't relate to this person that Death Stranding is for.
Yeah, there are tons of positive reviews, like you said, so people do like it, but we just can't pinpoint what that kind of person like.
Yeah. Okay, so like if you could think of an example of a game with a movement system exactly like this, it would be hard to do, I think. But like where, you know,
right.
the moment to moment is hard and you want to deploy your tools correctly to save yourself economy of motion. I can't really think of too many off the top of my head.
Yeah, because this isn't movement like you would in Titanfall. It's not movement puzzles. It's climbing puzzles.
Right.
Because all the difficulty comes from traversing verticality, right? It's going down or going up. Going across is not a problem. You just go.
Right.
And you can't Titanfall wall run, so this is all about setting up equipment properly to save yourself time, which is... I didn't see a lot of hills and cliffs where we look at it and we go, setting up a ladder with the right angle, with the right position, so it ends up in the right place, would save us significantly more time than climbing it physically.
Right.
So we always just climbed it.
Or biked it silly, yeah.
Or biked it silly, because it felt like getting off your bike or whatever, setting up all that, would only have saved us like 10 seconds. So we're like, well, why bother then?
Right.
Also, it uses up my ladder.
Yeah, and I need this ladder to hit people just in case. So, you know.
Now, how much of this do you think is you're supposed to set all of these things up, thinking that you're helping other people, which we didn't care about?
Thank you for reminding me, because that's another part of this that I think we don't quite get, is that a lot of people seem to really relate to it in terms of progression. They're like, man, I hated getting there, but once I got the new stuff, that progression feels nice. And neither of us, I feel like, are really that motivated by progression.
Progression of what? Of unlocking things?
Unlocking things and increasing like your bond level with the local area so you get more resources to spend, stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
And this is another thing. We were playing through probably an easier version of the game than the people who experienced this progression, because we got to like the Midwest, like I could say a state here, but you wouldn't recognize it. So.
Wisconsin.
Yes, and we step outside by the Great Lakes, and there's a whole road built for us, So we were playing on easy mode in that regard because people had already gone ahead of us.
Yeah, okay, yeah, true. You think we got bored because it was too easy?
I don't think that's why we got bored, but I didn't think we had an easier and less interesting time. But that's an issue of like not really putting a proper gate on what people playing later will have when there's way more people playing the game. You know what I mean?
I see that. Related to that point, what I was trying to say is, it feels like some people have the sense of camaraderie when they use a bridge built by somebody else, and then they, in response, build something for somebody else that they don't know. Now, now when I said neither of us cared about that, that's not saying we don't like helping other people, because Because, like, for fuck's sakes, I deleted my near save, right?
Sure.
It's like, no, help other people. Sure, why not? Even if the system is fake and that's not actually what it happens, like, I don't care. It's fine. Helping other people, it's fine. That's not it. For this game in particular, is you set down a bridge or you set down a ladder, and the ease of traversal cancels that out. Because what I would be thinking is, I put down this bridge here so you can go across, but if I hadn't, you wouldn't have been in that much trouble anyway.
Right, yeah.
I'm not actually helping you do anything crazy, it's just, I saved you 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So, like, well, who cares? Whatever. Like, I don't...
For sure, yeah.
But, anyway, we were talking about being too negative on the game, and I have a loaded question for you, specifically
Please.
for this. And I know what your answer is, but I still want to hear you say it. We can build a ton of stuff in this game. Bridges, towers, watchtowers. What was your favorite thing to build?
I see why this is loaded. Is this to your point about ease of traversal also? Is that why you picked this question? That's very devilish of you.
Yes, I mean, it's related, but you built something a lot in particular.
Well, obviously, my favorite thing that I could build in this game was the zipline. Daddy Zipline is the king of Death Stranding because it can take you to the top of the mountain. No other vehicle in this game, the biggest, most armorous truck in the game, will get to like 20% up the mountain and explode somehow. It'll be like, we're done. I don't know. What is your favorite?
I'm trying to count how many zipline stations you think we built collectively. 20? 30? I think around that number, right?
That seems a little high, but maybe, yeah.
Well, I'm guessing on the high end because when it comes to these things, I always tend to lowball it.
Yeah, that probably says something about how much I like the zipline is because I've lost track. They're all one big, beautiful zipline to me.
Yeah, in terms of time investment, I want to estimate we collectively have spent at least 2-3 hours building ziplines.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. We spent a lot of time building and going through ziplines and stuff like that.
Yeah, we had a network from the what is that thing called? The mountain. Before you get to the mountain city, there's the city before Heartman, and then there's like a thing in the middle of the plains before that. And so we had a zipline from the middle of the plains all the way into the mountain knot, and then up to Heartman, and then past Heartman to the little valley area where you go.
The first time you see supercells, that area.
Yeah, exactly. That whole area we had ziplined out. If we wanted to, we did. That's the only place we did extra deliveries because I was like, I can just go to the top of the mountain right now. Zip, 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 zip.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I wanted to bring this up because I think we both had a lot of fun with ziplines.
Yeah.
And part of the reason was it's not even any different than the ladder that we were just complaining about, right? In terms of how you build it, how you set it up, it gets you from point A to point B faster and it skips obstacles. The only difference is that it's like a greater ladder. It's better. That's it.
Yeah.
So all we had about complaining about ladders was just it didn't save you enough time. The zipline did, and it went from we'll never build ladders to I'm gonna build as many ziplines as I can because it saves just enough time that it's amazing and worth it.
And super cheap, and just be able to see where you want to go and hope somebody else has been there. Like absolutely. And there didn't seem to be a limit on how many. No, I think there probably was a limit to how many simultaneous connections one could have, but you could have one zipline and be connected to like 3 other places. It was incredible.
Yeah. I think the most we saw was 304, right?
Yeah.
Going from 304. Yeah. And the ziplines are amazing. We both love ziplines. The only possible way we could love it more is if you could somehow like grip your motorcycle with your legs and hop on the zipline and just go.
Yeah, the distant second for me that I always had on hand was the floating carrier. Just because I was always like, check it out, bro. It's tricky to rock around to. And I was just like rolling down the hill like, yeah.
And you figured out how to drive it too late we're almost done with the game.
Yeah.
That was unfortunate. Anyway, that's a huge plus that we really liked. The other thing that I really liked, which is not so much a game mechanical thing, it was just the world building and how they set it up, is the fact that all of your guns shoot your body fluids at them. I really like that.
That was kind of neat, yeah.
Because, like, well, we found out your blood hurts them, so obviously we're gonna build bullets out of your blood.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and then piss bullets, and I would assume poo bullets?
There were poo grenades.
Oh, yeah, that's... Anyway, I enjoyed that. I thought that was cool. Because if you're gonna set it up so that his body fluids hurt them, go nuts, right? Go do all of that stuff.
Oh, wait, I forgot something. I forgot that thing I was mentioning about how we got an easier experience. One of the reviewers, like on review day, on release, had the same experience but he was talking specifically about bosses. How, like, all the bosses seem to just kind of wander around in circles, not really interested in hurting you.
Right.
And he said that the connection hurts that too, because Ghost Reedus and his shirtless body will pop up and throw ammo at you repeatedly until you're, like, covered in it. And so you just pick it up off the ground and throw it at the boss.
Yeah. But remember, I did do I think one boss, right? The first Higgs boss, I did in hard mode.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were thinking that maybe we're getting a little bit bored because we set it on normal and that's for non-gamers. It's intentionally really easy. We set it on hard mode and he just turned into a bullet sponge.
Yes, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So we were immediately like, okay, no.
Yeah.
Turning that right off.
Yeah, a bullet sponge is fine if moment to moment you're like, whew, just like just in time catching stuff. But no, you're just kind of, because they're set in places where your movement is impaired. They're like, okay, welcome to the boss fight. It takes place in the ball pit. You cannot walk more than about 3 feet per like minute, and slowly throw your grenade. All right, walk to dodge. He's coming at you. Can you see him coming at you? Better walk.
And that's every single BT fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, throughout the game, it doesn't get better. They get bigger and more impressive, but you still handle them the exact same way. They slowly trudge towards you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sometimes they'll have summons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Throw grenades at them, you shoot them with your blood. They get too close, you kind of like speed walk your way past them.
Yeah, it is speed walk. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, you speed walk your way past them far enough, and they go, here we go again, and you throw grenades and you shoot, and that's it. That is the boss fight. Which, what was it? The other game that also has terrible boss fights? Deus Ex.
Oh, okay.
The reboot where they literally built the game and then contracted out a third party to make all the boss fights.
Man, they should have contracted somebody for these boss fights, because I bet they'd be better.
Well, I'll tell you what boss fights are really cool. It's the Horizon Zero Dawn, the same engine, but they had cool boss fights.
Man, why don't we just play that instead?
Well, because you know why? Because during the boss fights, she could still dodge and hop and run and go do all sorts of crazy shenanigans that you could do. Yeah. If they were really meant to build a rope game and not a stick game, and maybe I'll explain this really quickly. So Kojima said,
"No, please
the two greatest inventions in human."
No,
I'm doing this quick. Two greatest innovations and inventions in human history, which is the stick to hit people with, so you can take their stuff, and the rope, which is to bind things together. And he said most video games are sticks, which you shoot people with a gun. That's just a very long stick, right? you hit people with your DMC sword. That's just a very sharp stick. They're all sticks. He's like, I'm gonna build a rope game where the whole point of the game is you're connecting people together, you're roping people together, and then they implemented all these boss fights where you use a stick to hit the boss until he dies. So if he really wanted to do that, don't you think these boss fights should be like something else entirely different?
Got me in the kitchen, Johnny. I'm pouring more tequila.
Are you fucking kidding me? Can't believe this.
Can't deal. Can't deal with
You're
it.
supposed to be drinking. I spent 2 sentences explaining what a stick and a rope is, and you leave to get more alcohol. So, I can't think of anything right off the top of my head of how to make boss encounters in rope style and not stick style.
I've got one. I've got it.
Yeah.
You know those like tree based tree fortresses they would have playgrounds in sometimes at some schools,
Sure.
and they connect 2 buildings with rope bridges, and then
Right.
kids fight on top of them, try and knock each other off. That's the rope boss right there.
But they're still knocking each other off with sticks.
Yeah, but if you knock them off, they die, and it's game over. You want to knock them off, but catch them with a rope. There you go.
Okay, whatever, dude. Whatever. This brings it all back together with you were talking about the only sort of reward you get in this game for doing main quests and side quests is people like the likes.
Yeah.
Literal likes.
Mm-hmm.
Which when you get to the end of the game, you find out they're useless. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
They're completely useless. All the
Well,
rewards you've been getting, no point.
Well, hang on, Johnny. I'm only going to say this because I know somebody who is really into the game is going to correct you and say they do serve a gameplay purpose, but we're talking about a redemption purpose, something to care about how many you get.
Maybe I forgot. What do they serve in terms of gameplay?
When you get a like while you're moving around, it restores stamina for you.
Stamina's not never even a problem.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. All right. So
I
want to point out that is so unimpactful that I forgot it happens. Because what is that modeled after? We both know what that's modeled after. Dark Souls, right?
Right.
You
right.
put down a message. You fight a boss. You're down to your last sliver of HP. Somebody liked your message. You're fully healed.
Isn't it that it gives you an Estus sometimes?
It gives you an Estus, but then you use it and you're fully healed.
Right. Okay.
But that's Dark Souls. You have at most 10 Estus with you. They basically just gave you 10% of your entire health stock back. That's a big deal.
Okay.
This doesn't even give you HP. This gives you stamina, which comes back naturally. And you can sit down at any moment and rest and just get it back.
Point of order.
Drink your monster. I almost said Red Bull again. Jesus Christ. Or drink your monster and get it back. So I really don't like. And the only reason I brought up likes is if you want to solve these boss problems with the likes, you could make the boss some sort of dependent on how many likes you've gathered in the area.
You could make a gun that shoots likes.
Well, or your gun or rope or whatever it is, it becomes more impactful on the BTs depending on how people relates to you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like your blood is more venomous to them the more connected you are with other people.
I think that's a little bit. This is really saying something for this game, but that's maybe a little bit too on the nose. I think maybe even here they'd be like, no, that's a little too obvious. That's a perfect segue for the character section, which is like, oh man, where do I even begin? Where do
we've maybe complained enough about the gameplay loop. I think suffice it to say there are some really shiny spots where we both had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But those are the infrequent hills in most of the valley that is like, oh god.
The valley that is the butt of this game.
Yeah, where a lot of times when it's my turn to play, I'm like, do you want to play? I kind of don't. Where there's a couple. I remember there's a couple streams where I'm like, I kind of don't want to play today.
Was that before or after you were like, Jared, this is not what I wanted? As a ghost is barreling down on you.
Once again, to be positive about this, I wanted to watch you play it.
Sure, yeah.
I just didn't want to play it.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of people, you know what? Before we move into the next section, right? Maybe a lot of the people that review this game bought the game because, as they do now, they watch somebody stream it for 10, 20 hours and they go, this is pretty cool, I'll buy it. And then they leave a review. But the review was mostly contingent on the watching experience, not the playing experience.
That's a little bit too, that's a tiny bit too cynical for you, Johnny. I expect better.
You think
of you.
so?
A little bit.
But the only reason I brought that up is if I just purely watched someone play this, I'd give it a lot higher, I think a lot higher, more highly of it as well, because when it's going through the tedium, I can just do something else.
Sure, yeah.
And then like, oh, something cool's happening, and then look over and be like, this game's really neat. Yeah, and then just casually forget about the tedium.
I mean, your theory explains what we see, but not the people with like 40 hours being like, this game is a pinnacle. The pinnacle of modern achievement. It's revolutionary, which I think suffice it to say, neither of us found it to be a revolutionary of any kind.
All right, okay. So you've answered this question already, but I'm going to ask it again.
Huh?
And you feel free to go into as much detail or lack of as you want, okay? Jared, who is Sam Porter Bridges America, and what does he do?
No. I refuse.
You kind of already did. It's too late.
I don't wanna. Okay, let me preface this by saying that I think the crux of our complaint is he's introduced as Sam Porter Bridges, and then about an hour later, me and you were both like, oh, the reveal is that in this game, which is about ropes, called Death Stranding, they're explaining to us that strand, which can also mean to be stuck, which would require a rope to connect one another, the main character's last name is Strand.
Yeah? What's the problem with that?
What are you... We're just like, are you fucking for real, son? Like, can you please...
What's your problem with that?
Please.
I mean, we both know he's not the only person that has this problem. We both know that. But anyway, you kind of answered who he is already, kind of on the surface level.
Wait, hang on. Wait. I don't know if this is where you're going, but I have a complaint about that, actually.
Okay.
Tell me who Sam is apart from what he does.
He is. I'm gonna do my best here. I'm not gonna troll this. I'm gonna do my best.
Okay.
He is someone that has been scarred in the past.
Okay.
So because of that, he has decided to not really fully connect with anyone again because he's afraid of getting hurt.
That is a fantastic excuse to have a main character who spends the entire game with the face of stone.
Because the whole daughter thing, right?
Yeah.
He's like, well, I don't want that to happen again. That almost killed me last time. Right. Or maybe it did. It did, because he's a repatriate.
Well, it's true, yeah.
So you're right. There's not a lot of... He's your main character. We should know a lot more about him, but we don't.
Right.
The one thing, and I brought this up to you before already, which is... It's possible they just want to build a stoic character.
Sure.
But that only works in Metal Gear because they're supposed to be military.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah, special ops, military, right? That is the quintessential portrayal of special ops people in Hollywood movies and whatever. They don't talk a lot. When they do, they say one or two liners. They usually like try to sound as deep as they can, suppress the voice because stealth, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the whole 24 thing where I forget the guy's name. Jack Bauer.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything he says is in this tone because he's special services, special ops. So I gotta make sure we're even when we're at a park in the middle of the day, I still gotta talk like this because I'm a special services guy.
Please go ahead and conduct the rest of the review talking like that.
But my whole point is that's the kind of character he wants to build, which is fine for Metal Gear Solid because they're all reasonably like that. But Sam is the Amazon's delivery guy.
Yeah. He's a dude who spends a lot of time isolated And so you would expect him to... Well, okay, wait, hang on. I'm going to correct myself. He does do one isolated person thing, and that's talk to himself regularly.
True, he does.
That's very good that they hadn't do that, because when you're on your own, you do tend to talk to yourself. It's like a coping thing or something. But
yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Which you can kind of explain away with, like I said, he has a tragic past. He's kind of shut himself away from the world, so he doesn't want to engage with anybody. But you don't find that out until quite a bit into the game. So
like 25 hours at least, 30.
Yeah, so for the 30 hours, you don't know why he's like that.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing only works when it's something that doesn't negatively impact your view of the character. For example, he could be a normal talking person. He's just especially mean to, let's say, females.
Right.
Where you may, okay, he's a normal character, but is he misogynistic? Like, what's the deal here? Like, what's going on? And then you find out, oh, because blah, 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 that's why he's like that. But in him just not being a character at all, that impacts your entire experience. Like, that you can't do it this way.
Right. So I'll give you a perfect example of like a character that isn't really that interesting on the surface that, still gets interesting interactions. Is any person from like an old time Western, right? You wouldn't have heard this, but like Gunsmoke. I recently watched or listened to the first episode of an old radio serial called Gunsmoke. This is from like the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And the main dude is a sheriff. So you can already see that character in your mind. You already know he's not going to have much to say. He's not going to have too many strong opinions to himself. He's just going to be...
he talks with his pistol.
Right. And he gets the job done. He's a keeper of the peace, right?
Yeah.
So
you're talking about the old Western kind of thing where the typical lone gunman walks into a town. Now story kind of thing, right?
Exactly. And that's exactly the kind of setup we had in this situation. Every quest was that same setup because a lone delivery man walks into town. He's the only one who can bring justice and packages to this desperate old West. And you walk up to the terminal. He sallies up to the terminal. He goes, "Hey, what's the order?" And the order is like, "We need..." Okay, sorry, no, I said it wrong. Sam, we need you to take... We need you to take these anchovies to the chiral pizzeria down the street. They're out of anchovies. Bring him the anchovies. And Sam takes the boxes, puts the boxes on his back, walks over, puts the boxes. The anchovy guy comes out. He's like, "Man, you really are a legend. These anchovies are really salty. Thanks."
Yeah.
And that's
he doesn't come out. He FaceTimes you.
There's no until I'm going to say at least 20 hours. Until 20 hours, there's no like pathos to these deliveries. They're just like, "Man, I really do wish we had some anchovies, man." And you're like, "Here you go." And I'm like, "Thanks. Bye."
Yeah, I think the very first package that we had to deliver that was actually interesting. No, I'm talking about obviously the... Oh, wait, hang on a second. Uh-oh.
What wrong?
OBS wrong. Hang on. Oh, we're fine. It didn't do anything to the stuff that's already there. I just have to restart it. Maybe not. It won't start. Okay, do a 3, 2, 1 again? Or 1, 2, 3?
1, 2, 3.
4. Alright.
Okay.
I was in the middle of a thought, but I forget because technical issues.
We had just finished talking about how none of the delivery is really involved.
Oh, you're talking about he walks into the town, lone gunman.
Yeah.
What? Once again, I keep bringing it back to this point, and I think it's fair because Kojima said this, right? I'm using his own words. Lone Gunman walks into town, solves their problem. That's a stick game, not a rope game.
Okay.
It really is, right?
Yeah.
Let me solve your problem with my stick.
Yeah.
That sounds lewder than. No, but the solution should be, I can solve this problem by connecting you to my cool Cairo network.
Which did once the game got going, there were a couple like that. Like the people who were having their baby were like, "Here you go, your baby," and the doctor was like, "This is state of the art technology," and we were just kind of standing there with our dick in our hand, like, "We made this happen, guys."
And that was definitely a good one where you solved their problem by rope. You didn't go beat up. I mean, you did on the way, but that was just because you had to get past things.
Right.
But there were also a couple where just hey, mules, go fight them. Yeah.
No, it's entirely just a storytelling thing where when people compare it to fetch quests, they're being true to the amount of engagement you have in the story. Because you're like, why do I bring this? Just they need it. They need the supplies. And you're like, but this what is my connection to the supplies?
Yeah. And I think obviously you probably agree with me in that when people describe something as a fetch quest, you're not giving it full credit. Because there can be tons of different kinds of fetch quests. Some are good.
Sure, yeah.
But when people usually use that as a criticism, obviously they're saying what you're fetching is insignificant.
Yeah.
To the story.
Okay, I think we're all kind of we keep focusing on the beginning. I see there are other characters in this game, Johnny, and just because we were unsatisfied.
No. We talked about Sam and why we didn't get enough out of him. And for as much as Kojima seems to worship Norman Reedus, he really did him a disservice. He really did. Because he gave him a character where his acting chops didn't matter.
Right, I agree.
When he's sad, he looks stoic with tears rolling down his face.
Are you talking about him being sad and crying, or when he was just had the chiral allergy? Because
I guess both.
Yeah.
There's bits of it where I remember specifically one scene where he's hugging BB, and he does have a pained expression while playing, while crying. I mean, and that's not give him more. I've seen him in Walking Dead. He's a good actor. Give him more things to do.
Right. Obviously, we're both thinking about Die Hardman, and we were both like, "Hey, is this like I'm engaged? Is that normal?"
So you explain what you're talking about.
Do you want me to go from the top or just the Die Hardman section?
Just why Die Hardman stands out so much?
Because he gets a section where his character has a motivation that is not shrouded in mystery. It's like, hey man, let me talk to you man on man. I did some bad shit. I regret it, but I had to do it, and I'm so sorry and sad. And he like breaks down, slamming the ground, crying, and it's really relatable and interesting. And you're like, damn, is this good? Where was this the whole game? Because
you're like, man, if I shot my best bud, I'd feel really fucking bad about it too.
Mm-hmm.
And he responds in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas almost nobody else in the game responds like people would.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Like they're not. This goes back to what we were talking about before. Every single person in the game responds to tragedy and sadness a way you would expect they do in the military. But
that makes sense. Yeah.
Let me think. None of these people, other than two, are in the military.
Yeah.
So Mads Mikkelsen, obviously, fine. He's a military person, but he gets more emotional than Sam does.
Yeah.
So what's the deal? What's going on?
Okay, hang on. I can't hold it back anymore. I can't do like a slow drip feed. I gotta just get all of the ridiculous.
Okay, go.
So every character in this game when that review I read, you said that like it was all overwrought or just uninteresting. That is the core of my thesis against this game, is that you're like, oh man, I can't wait to find out what secretly motivates President Strand. And it's like, okay, from the top. Your mission is to connect the America into a network of, the chiral network, because it's hope, it's change, it's communication, it's rope.
Yeah, it's the internet. People got to get the porn.
You get to the end, yeah, for sure, yeah, absolutely. Except they're not having sex. The Codex taught us, so I don't. Porn is all you got.
They do still have cosplay Tumblr people, so
true.
I guess they're just doing it themselves.
So you get to the end, and the core of President Strand's conflict is she's an extinction entity, which the game sort of introduces to you about 35 hours in. It's like, guys, what if death and the death of the species was like a scientific concept that just has to happen, and there's
once every 20, 30,000 years, it just does. Yeah.
There's a doom guy, and he has to doom everybody, and you're like, what? What are you? Is that you're supposed to be like a science? Is that your best thing? And he's like, totally. And then you leave Heartman, and he's like, I'm serious about that, by the way. And you get to the coast, and Amelie is like, it's me.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, why? And she's like, okay, thousands of years ago, there was another extinction entity, and a lot of stuff died. And then I noticed the beach, and I tried to save everybody. But then I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of waiting. So I made you connect the beaches, but I wanted you to stop me. It's so confusing and not really clearly presented. From the way this game addresses it, Amelie, the president, is not a character. She's like a crazy person who can't make up her mind. You know what I mean?
She used to be just... No, sorry. This is really stupid, but she split herself.
Mm-hmm.
So she split her cosmic entity away from her human. So there's a human, and then there's a cosmic entity.
Yeah, there's a cosmic and... Wait,
now, we're talking about rebuilding the internet. She's the one that wanted us to do it.
Wait, hang on. You mean there's a cosmic and a hosmic entity? Okay, go on.
Nobody's gonna get it, dude. Nobody is gonna understand what the fuck you're talking about. Okay, we're not even gonna explain it. If you care, look up what ha and ka means in what Egyptian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's it. We're not gonna explain it.
Okay, go on. Yeah, no, but I assume that what we're supposed to see is that she's depressed and crazy because when you're associated with the beach, when you get these Death Stranding powers, dooms, when you get the dooms, you start seeing the end of civilization in your dreams or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
They mentioned that. So I assume she's supposed to be, but her presentation in the game is someone who is absolutely certain that the world has to end and she's responsible for it. But the whole 95% of the game, she's a damsel in distress. And then at the very end, she's like, everything you've done has helped me pave the way for the end of the world. And I had to do it. And I wanted you to stop me. It's like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, she has to do it, but she wants you to stop her.
Well, then why did you talk to me in the first place, woman?
I mean, that's okay to write a character as conflicted.
Right.
But not the way they did it.
Yeah, absolutely not.
This is why I've seen some people talk about Kojima and how he wants to direct movies, right? Where like all of these things you can get away with in video game format. If he actually wrote a movie, it would be a disaster.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know how to set up characters so that we can relate.
In the last 10 minutes, just imagine if the last 10 minutes of the stupidest thing I could think of, like Armageddon, the asteroid is like, ooh, actually, I didn't want to kill you guys. Like, what?
No, you're gonna find out. Was it who was it? Ben Affleck?
Ben in Armageddon?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Ben Affleck.
That was so long ago. Use a reference point closer to our time frame. Jesus Christ! You're gonna find out that the asteroid is just the cosmic half of Ben Affleck's girlfriend the whole time. And the girlfriend, you remember how the girlfriend's like they're in the hangar and they're singing like I'm leaving on a jet plane.
Yeah.
And the whole time she's like, I have to crash into the earth, but please stop me.
Oh man! And then as they're landing at the end, after they've blown up the asteroid, the bit where they're actually landing the plane is cut away to them skipping through a field.
Shut up! Apocalypse. No, not Apocalypse. Armageddon. Armageddon is so old that it wasn't until like last year that I realized that was a Michael Bay movie.
Yes, that's a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, and then I went back and watched clips of it, not the whole thing because I don't want to. I watched clips of it, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a Michael Bay movie.
Did the cuts kind of give it away? You're like, wait a second, what is going on here?
Because I'm watching it, I'm just like, oh yeah, he's been doing this for a while, huh?
Yeah.
And the only reason he's getting away with it is because a new generation of people watches his movies.
I like how you present Michael Bay as this like unstoppable force. Like he can't keep getting away with it.
He's a cosmic entity.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously. The only way he's getting away with it is because the people that watch his movies are a specific age range, right? But he's been away for so long that they age out of his movie and they just stop watching it. So a new group of people watch his movies.
Is it so hard to believe that perhaps Michael Bay is just a good filmmaker, Johnny?
Then why don't you watch any of his movies?
Whoa. No. It's not whoa.
God damn it. Okay. We've segued it so far away from what we're talking about.
I can get you back. I'm not going to help, but I could.
Speaking of directors, right?
Yeah.
What'd you think of Guillermo del Toro in this game?
Okay, I gotta correct you on this. It's Guillermo, just so you know. Guillermo
I don't care.
del Toro.
You know what? I shouldn't be like that. I do strive to pronounce people's names the right way. Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, there you go. Guillermo.
Okay.
What did I think of him in this movie? In this movie?
Yeah, did you like him in his
I mean, the weird thing is he was the most character. You know, he was just when I picture Deadman, when I picture Billy Del Deadman.
Yeah, his name is Deadman in this game.
Right. I picture a dude who like he isn't that good with social cues because he keeps violating your personal space.
Right.
I don't think that's exact. I don't think that's exactly what they were going for, but that does seem to be it. Like he's a little bit, goofy. He ends up in some silly situations, but he cares about Sam eventually, and he's like a man on the inside who you can trust. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a good boy. He just wants to do what's good for everybody.
Yeah. His backstory doesn't really get given that. Like it's mentioned in one sentence. I'm sure there's a codex somewhere. It'll be like, oh, they didn't read Guillermo del Toro's complex codex backstory.
Yeah.
But no, as far as the game goes, which is what 80% of people will experience outside of the codexes, his backstory is one sentence. They made me. That's why I have no beach. Okay, bye-bye. That's it.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, they mentioned that some of his organs are harvested or fake because when they cloned him or something, his initial organs weren't working, so he has a bunch of loner organs. And I guess that's breaking the beach. Yeah, that's why he's breaking the beach rules because he's not actually a full-fledged guy, so he doesn't get to die. Something like that.
Yeah, he's got dead man parts in him.
Mm-hmm.
He is kind of a good example of how they could have written Sam. Yeah. So that we wouldn't have complained about it. Because he also doesn't have... We don't know much about him, but they let him be a person and act enough during the game.
Yeah.
That we build up a concept of him as a person while we're playing the game. So we forget about we don't know about his past that much, but that's okay because I've grown to know what he is as a person, which Sam wasn't given the chance to do that.
Yeah. Actually, that's true because even though he doesn't get put into that many different situations, we've at least gotten to see him experience 3 or 4 emotions. He has fear, which makes more sense for Sam because Sam sees more weird shit. but he gets fear because he gets sent to the World War mission, or the World War mission. We've seen him develop emotional attachment to the baby more than what Sam would express like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just they wrote Sam as a character that where his acting chops didn't matter, whereas Guillermo del Toro is just a director and not an actor, and they gave him tons of scenes where acting chops matter.
Yeah, for sure.
Which he did pull off, actually. Like I stopped seeing him as a director. I was like, this is Deadman. He's a goofy little goofball that means well.
That's true. I had sort of the same reaction that I would have with like where somebody like that would show up in real life. It'd be like, I would roll my eyes at first and be like, oh gosh, Deadman is here, and then I'd be like, kind of glad that I saw him. I'd be like, I like that guy, even though he's a total like goof. Yeah,
he's not annoying. For one, he's just goofy. And really, I'm not even gonna dig too much into it. He's a person that we can believe exists, whereas Sam we can't.
But Deadman is a perfect segue for. We'll just don't let me forget that we're still in the character section. But this is the character of the game. Is that is the extraneous phone calls, right? He's the poster boy.
Yeah.
He's the poster boy for, were you doing something? You got a minute to talk? Sam.
We've got dooms, Sam.
Done nothing but lie to me. Oh. You think he had a kid and he named his kid Bridge? Oh, what now?
Sam, out of curiosity, how's it doing at the moment?
Why is he made out of Minecraft? Why is he?
He's using a filter.
If I find anything out, I'll tell you, alright? Deadman's honor.
Oh my god.
Sam, check the delivery terminal and review the list of orders.
I know you're sitting there like, I just want to play the game.
Yeah.
But you don't understand, this is
the game, I know. But he was trying to extinct humanity. Wait a second. We're going the right way?
But for our own good.
Out to sea. What?
I told you!
All the time.
I told you! These only happen when you stop your car.
They were continued in secret on the order of President Strand.
Bro, I've seen these happen. I don't care.
Primary objective.
This is where you would get off if you wanted to go north, I guess. The road would continue that way. Oh no!
Ah, you stopped for too long!
I see you're coming up on. It seems that Clifford Unger willingly put his own child in the care of the scientists conducting the BP experiments.
We know that.
But he did so completely unaware of their true intentions.
We knew that too.
This is pure speculation, but I think when Cliff found out about their plans, he attempted to reclaim custody.
We know that as well.
And after he failed, the BB remained in the program's care.
Obviously.
In which case...
Oh, I guess he doesn't have dooms.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. Almost everybody else does, but he doesn't.
Just too much phone calls, man. For not that much... Not stuff you need to be told over a phone call. Jeez.
Why did that bother us so much? It's because, you know what it is? It's because we can't do anything while they're talking to us.
Right.
Can we even run?
No, sometimes they would pull you into a little Minecraft call and you'd just be stuck. But you know, wait. Also because this game had that habit of having the phone call happen when you're in the menu trying to look at something for yourself. You'd be like, let me look at this new gun. Sam. And you're like, oh my god.
Maybe, I didn't pay enough attention to this, but maybe that's a trigger.
I assume so. Like they were trying to explain the feature that you were looking at once they revealed that it was new. But we're used to figuring stuff out for yourself. So somebody talking to you about it is slower than just reading it.
Yeah. And speaking of menus, we've collectively spent 40, 50 hours in the game. And I guarantee you that upon the completion of every mission, it gives you a page of stats that neither of us can really tell you what they are. You can probably name one or two, like easy ones.
Distance traveled,
time taken.
Yeah.
whatever. And I don't have problems with stats. That's fine. But it's stats that didn't matter.
Yeah, for sure.
None of it mattered. Eventually, we just button matched as fast as we can out of it because we realized those stats mean nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. So the poor developer at Kojima Productions, the guy that spent 3 weeks coding that ends the mission completion screen, with all the data, grabbing from the game API, all that shenanigans, all that work is pointless.
So Die Hard, man.
Good segue. Yeah. So we covered Guillermo del Toro and Sam, obviously, and President Strand, and by association, Amelie.
Yeah.
But we still have...
We covered Die Hardman too. But you know who I don't see on this list?
Who?
Young Fragile.
Yeah, I know. I kind of left her out on purpose.
Oh, I see. Because you didn't want to talk about...
Because I don't want to talk about it.
Because you don't want to talk about that Fragile. Which she's
Because I don't want... Stop. I don't want to talk about her.
I'm fragile.
No.
Stop.
Not that fragile.
Stop.
That doesn't even apply here.
Stop.
It's like if Steve Urkel showed up and was like, "Did I do that?"
I...
Fragile.
No! No! No!
Stop it.
This is why we have vodka.
Come work for me.
Ugh.
Jesus.
Women like you.
But since
okay,
you brought
wait.
it up,
Wait. I
Yeah.
can make this good for you. That's her character. Her character is the lack of subtlety. Whenever a character is saying something and you're like, hey, Kojima, could you not? Like, whenever... You remember at the end, Amelie is like, let me explain to you what my name means. You're like, could you... This is not a character speaking. This is you speaking. Please stop.
Yeah, this is Kojima speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of the problem is he doesn't write in the voice of the character.
Yeah, for sure.
Some writers can pull it off. Some writers, when they
Yes.
write multiple characters, different characters have different mannerisms, they talk in a different way, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Not this. Not
It
this.
was... Fragile is the perfect example because it's so... I lost count of how many times she said it. It was incredible. Like, by the end, we were both like, no. Skip.
Don't do it.
No.
Don't do it.
No.
You haven't really fully explained what we're talking about. So, Fragile is
okay.
one of the first characters you run into in the game. The first, 2-3 minutes, I want to say?
Yeah. People know. People know.
Okay. Her name's not Fragile. That's her quote-unquote code name, right?
Right.
I don't remember what her real name is.
Louis Sois Lesu.
Sure.
Yeah.
And all she is she's the head of another delivery company. You work for Bridges, she works for Fragile. I guess she owns Fragile
Right.
Deliveries.
Fragile Express.
And she also has Dooms, which is the special power in this game. And
She's
her
got-
Dooms allows her to traverse back and forth into the beach and back, and etc.
Right.
She can teleport.
Right.
The problem with that is, halfway through the game, it is revealed why she's called Fragile. Or is that why she's called Fragile?
No.
The scene with Higgs? Or was she already fragile before that?
She was already fragile at that time.
Oh, so they didn't explain why she's called Fragile.
Maybe she's called Fragile because the company is specifically for fragile goods. And so she just became Fragile of Fragile Express. And then...
But then after that thing, she becomes fragile but not fragile.
Right. Not that fragile.
Well,
Which she explains to the player by when in the past, a terrorist, a leader of the Homo Demons, has been sending bombs into... Hey, you didn't laugh. That's good. Very impressive. I'm proud. So...
yes.
has been sending bombs into cities and or something like that. He's trying to basically gum up the whole works. And so he tries to have her deliver a bomb, and she's like, "Oh, that's not cool." And she goes to chuck out the bomb out in the city, and he like has his group of other guys who we never meet, intercept her. And so he's got like a little showdown with her where he's like, "Girl, what are you? My motivation is unclear, but why would you do that with my bomb, girl? Come on." And so
let me blow them up.
Yeah. And then he does like the anime villain thing where I don't know if this actually happens or if I imagined it, but he licks her face. Did that actually happen? Well, it doesn't matter.
I think he does.
It doesn't matter because that's sort of the kind of character that Higgs is, right?
He either licked her face or he licked Amelie's face. He licked somebody's face. He licked Sam's face!
Did he?
Yes, he did!
Okay.
Right before the giant BT fight.
Yeah, okay. I believe you. That sounds right. That's weird.
Yeah.
So anyway, and he's like, "I got a choice for you." And he summons Rain with his special powers. And he's like, "Girl, you can go out there and, get your ass all G-milfified, or you can..." I don't remember what the other choice is. Bye-bye. And so she takes the bomb and sacrifices her youth of her body because when the Rain touches it, she'll be super old and gross and nobody will want to swipe right on that shit anymore. And so as she's running in this touching moment, getting all old, she's like, "'Cause I'm fragile, but not that fragile." And so that's the first time we were like, that's a very long reach. Please, let's just get... We both just sort of gritted our teeth and bared it because we were like, okay, that's fine. We're not going to have to deal with this again.
Now, mechanically, I brought this up before. And I remember you not being able to explain it either.
Right.
Which is when we see Rain hit grass.
Yeah.
Grass grow and die within seconds.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And she was in that rain for... I think she gave a number, didn't she?
No, I don't think so.
Well, based on how far she had to run and then run back, at least a minute.
I have an answer, but you're really not going to like it.
Okay.
I mean, you're going to hate it. You still want the answer?
Well, you can't do that and not say it.
Well, you have to ask the question first.
You know what? I know what you're going to say and I don't want to ask it anymore.
Do it.
I figured out what you're gonna say, and I don't want to ask it anymore. So I'm gonna pretend that didn't happen. Now
nobody knows what we're talking about. You got to do it.
No. I don't care. The viewers can go F themselves. I don't.
You got to do it.
I don't care. No, I don't care. No.
Sam.
No.
Sam. You got to. Sam.
No. So how come she didn't age and die right there?
Because she's fragile, but not that fragile. This silence is exactly what happened in the game, by the way. Or when Conan O'Brien were just like, I
hate this.
You think
that was the related question I had for you during the game, which is when the rain hits your skin.
Yeah.
They clarified this very specifically in the game, which is the first thing it touches ages, and then the timefall turns into regular water.
I guess so, yeah.
So when the rain hits your skin, it doesn't penetrate all the way through your skin into your bloodstream, because rain doesn't go into the bloodstream, obviously.
You're right.
It goes skin and then epidural, right?
Okay.
Epidermal.
Epidermis.
Epidermal. Anyway, doesn't that mean her organs will be perfectly fine?
I don't think any thought was given to this particular question in development, so I will refrain from commenting.
Yeah, so this is kind of doing her a disservice, which is, I'm sure for a lot of younger people, looking old and gross is they'd rather die, right?
I can't wait to hear this. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard early 20-somethings express that sentiment that they'd rather be dead than old, right? So now hear me out, which is if her sacrifice is that her skin looks old and gross,
Yeah.
but her organs don't age.
It's
So-
a very superficial curse to have. Yeah, it makes her.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal because you're not actually cutting into your lifespan.
This is a uniquely Johnny perspective because only you hang out with the early 20-somethings that you do. Most of us don't. So I haven't.
But you see what I mean. The sacrifice turns into not that big of a deal.
Right. I agree. Yeah. No. I absolutely. Yeah. You're right. And I hadn't thought about that.
So now for the rest of your life, no one's gonna want to bang you. That's better than you don't get to live as long.
True. Yeah. Absolutely true.
Like I'm sure I would assume plenty of people out there live their whole lives just fine, not being banged constantly.
Maybe it's hard to say.
I mean, I'm pretty sure your sex life goes down tremendously past 50, anyways.
Maybe, yeah.
So whatever. My point is, you can't just selectively be a lot of death about specific parts of your world and not about some others.
World building is absolutely the hardest bit. So
That's fair.
I take these complaints with a grain of salt. You can't appease anybody, or sorry, you can't appease everybody. But definitely, you could. I think you could solve that by just making what is there more interesting than it was. Which the first thing we both are going to think of is the artist, the chick that was like, "Take me with you." We were both like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah,
more of that.
I need to bang, please.
Yeah. And you know what the strangest part about that is? He leaned into that particular story so hard.
Very hard.
All the way into the end of the game, he was like, "They're on again, they're off again, they're on again." And then there was a male. I saw this in the VOD. I don't know if we actually wrote it. We actually read it, but he was part of a gang that killed her parents. He is the reason that she is an orphan or something like that.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Also,
Stop. Okay.
My OBS died again.
What are you doing over there, man?
I don't know. I don't usually record in 1080p. That might be why.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, try 720 instead. And then I'll just size up the 720 bits to 1080. I had a similar issue, like when I tried to do 2K on my other machine, when I pressed stop recording, the button would just be stuck.
It just doesn't like it. I'm noticed because I'm looking at the timestamp on the recording. So as soon as it stops counting, I'm like, whoa.
I see. Okay.
Stay on your point so we don't forget.
Okay. What was? Oh yeah. About this is my core point about the game is like, give me some stories. Okay.
I'm gonna downgrade it because this is a big problem and we don't want this. Output, recording, and count away.
1, 2, 3,
4.
Very good. Okay. I think I was on a roll and I was talking about how the beats and the individual stories between moments are just not that interesting.
Yeah.
And then I contrasted it with the wife
artist
who wanted to bone some white dude who was like 20 feet away. And then we were like, the whole time.
20 feet.
They were in the same zip code.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
I know.
Okay. Anyway, we were both like, what is going on? And we were both really engaged. And I'm not saying it has to be some Pulitzer shit. I'm just saying, instead of like, take it over there. Yeah. Thank you for bringing this over there. Be like, we'd like you to bring that over there, but that has been lost. Perhaps you can talk to a guy who knows where it is. Oh, he's being held captive by the mules. We don't know which mules, so you'll have to contact some third, like something like that, where you're like, what is going on with this shit? Like.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, obviously I gave a terrible example where if I made that into a game, people would be like, this game is very confused and I don't know what it's trying to tell me. But it would still be better than take X to B, take A to Y.
I do have a comment about the fact that there was a lot of depth given to the artist and I believe the photographer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was she a photographer? Her dad's a photographer.
The photographer was later. The thin Asian waifu was just an artist.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm being too cynical, but I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's because he got that mixed race actress. And that's all be perfectly honest here.
Oh boy.
He's kind of a horn dog about that.
Oh man.
Cause he is. I'm not saying that as criticism, because so am I, right?
Look, man, I have no horse in this race. You're gonna stand on your own on this point.
It's just putting your preferences into the game a little bit. Which, if I were given the freedom to write a game, I probably would do the same.
I can say that. I probably would too. I'd be like, okay, and then for story reasons, you bend over all the way to the floor and pick up the piece of paper with the.
I mean, have you seen MGS4?
No, but I've seen Bayonetta, and I would be all over that shit.
Oh, okay. Like, well,
I mean, would you?
I know this by peripheral, so I didn't play this, but there's a slew of bosses in the game that are all hot model females.
Tight, very nice,
right? And they're all
solid.
They're all in skin tight, latex.
Mm-hmm. Of course, because
not latex, quote unquote combat suits, and
so
there are segments of the game where I don't know why, but there are segments of the game where you're allowed to just take photographs of them while they pose very, very seductively.
Wait,
this is real. I'm not making this up.
Wait, okay. I'm sorry to take you away from this, but this is a perfect segue for another character of the game.
Okay, go ahead.
And that is, I guess this is still Kojima. This is still just something that it's like, why are we doing this?
Why are we here?
Yeah. Okay, hang on.
What are you talking about? Fuck,
I'm losing it. What is the example I was thinking of? It's the, shit!
Oh, you fool. Oh, you fool.
No!
You fool.
Go back to talking about the women. I'll remember that.
I'm done talking about the women.
I could do a little bit more.
All I was gonna say was, that's writing your own preference into the game, which I would do as well. And let's be honest, people like eye candy, so it's fine. But then don't pretend that it isn't.
Sure, yeah.
Don't pretend that isn't just because you like watching hot models doing things. Which he does in interviews, specifically about MGS5 and the whole fucking quiet thing. I think a lot of people know about that. The whole like, why is she half naked? And he's like, there's a specific story reason about that once you find out, you'd feel bad about asking that.
I remember that, yeah. And I was like, sure, okay.
And then people found out, and they're like, we don't feel bad about it.
I wish I could remember the character of the story that I was going to bring up, because it was very relevant to this, but I can't remember. I'm so sorry. I've ruined the whole thing. This whole thing's been a waste.
You kind of have. You kind of have. Thanks.
Well, at least I didn't have 25 minutes of walking around on the beach while people tell me what my name means as the credits roll to this podcast. At least I can say that.
Let's just do the ending fake out. It's like, thanks for listening to just kidding, here's 30 more minutes.
Just kidding. episode 13. Why did they do that?
Okay, so let's move on. Okay. Let's go a little bit faster, okay? This is a big name attached to this game, which is Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
Fantastic actor.
Yeah.
I'll go through a little bit about what he's about. So you don't know who this character is for the first half of the game. Every time you exit your private room, you get a little cut-in scene from the perspective of a baby. And the baby is looking out from their little incubation pod, and Mads is talking to the baby from what looks to be like a hospital room. And he goes through various moments of happiness, sadness, contemplation and all that during these cut-in scenes. And most of the time you have no idea what's going on. You don't know who he is. Obviously he knows the baby. There's his dead wife on the table. And eventually he starts dragging you into his beach and hunting you down. And you don't really know why.
You hear me?
Yeah?
I gotta say something. He's actually Danish. Go on.
What?
Well, I said he's Dutch, but I was wrong. He's Danish.
I didn't even
This is
hear you
important.
say he's Dutch, so... I didn't even hear you say he's Dutch. The point I'm trying to make is... I've seen him in Hannibal, and I've seen him in... Oh, what's that one other thing I saw him in? It was a movie.
The Matrix.
Fuck it, whatever. I've seen him in Hannibal and one movie, and I think he's a fantastic actor. What are your thoughts on this?
I've seen him in some James Bond memes, and he seems pretty good.
Oh, he played a bad guy in James Bond.
I think that's right, yeah.
Yeah, he did. All the bad guys in James Bond movies seem to be vaguely and ambiguously European, but not specifically where.
That's perfect Mads Mikkelsen right there, yeah.
He's a fantastic actor. Most of his acting in this game is him monologuing at a baby, which is
Yes.
in its own way very impressive that he portrays a real character while mostly just monologuing.
Yes.
His resolution was... You know what? I felt satisfied with your final battle with him and him, like, looking at you. And he said something about, like, you are the future or something like that.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because as you were groping for a word, the exact word that I was going to say is satisfactory.
Yeah. I don't really
Like,
have too much more. I don't really have much more to say about it. I was kind of hoping that he would be roped more into the main storyline, but most of what he did was in the past.
Right. Yeah. Mostly he just exists as a question the whole time. It's like, why is this dude so pissed at me?
Mm-hmm. Which you do. That whole storyline was wrapped up very satisfactorily. Like, I liked it. That was good.
Yeah, no, that is the crux of it's strictly an emotional thing. It doesn't have to make any kind of sense from a temporal or logistics perspective. Like, who told him that he needed to go over here? Because the person that would have told him, he would have distrusted because they just killed him. So obviously when you think about it, it makes zero sense, but it's all an emotional payoff for a person who's like a ghost who might not even really be aware of what's happening. You know what I mean? It's strictly emotional. It's fine.
Yeah. And that's funny because I just recently watched something about Guillermo, which is somebody was talking to him about the shooting and the mechanics and designs of Pacific Rim robots. And they're saying something silly like, oh, robots would work this way. It makes more sense if they work this way, if they're piloted this way. And I believe the quote that I read was him saying like, hey, you're gaining ground on logic, but you're losing ground in drama.
Fair.
Which is perfect. It ties into this exactly. Is if the drama is portrayed well enough, logic is fine. Throw it away a little bit, it's fine.
Yeah.
And most of the stuff we complained about earlier, I don't think we would have complained about if the drama and emotions were done better.
Yeah, if we had ground to relate to instead of just like, here's the ground, I'm fragile, but not that fragile. And we're like, no!
So I brought this up many times. How much do you think that silliness, Sam quote-unquote Porter, quote-unquote Bridges, quote-unquote Strand, and fragile, but not that fragile, and Amelie, which is something about a lie?
Yeah, a soul that's a lie. Oh, God.
Ame is soul and just lie, right?
Right, of course.
A fake soul. So how much of that is because English is not his first language?
I can't say. I don't have much insight into Mr. Kojima. I don't know his modus operandi. I don't know his deal. It definitely did feel like somebody who just figured out the structure of a pun and was holding it up to you in a book that they wrote it down. You're like, dude, check this out. It felt like that the whole time. Like all the way up to the end of the game. You remember we found the index at the end. They're like, Bridgemanite is a mineral. And we were like, look, he found something else that has the name Bridges in it. Isn't this impressive? And I looked it up after. Bridgemanite is a real mineral. It is? It's real. It's really a majority of the Earth's crust, but it definitely doesn't have any of the rest. So it's just like a dude who ran. He found like a word and like a database to cross-reference, find all of the strands, bridges, and connection terminologies in English, and we put them all in my game.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like a college essay.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that's
my take on that is there's a lot of the wordplay that is really neat and interesting in Japanese that doesn't work in English. Because there's tons and tons of Japanese where a certain word is said a specific way, but depending on how you write the kanji has a completely different meaning.
Sure.
And you can find words that, when spoken, means A, when written out means B, but you can play with it so that A and B either mean completely opposite things on purpose, or they could mean similar things on the same spectrum, but that gives more depth into the character because that's his name.
Sure, yeah.
There's a lot of really cool Japanese things you can do like that. You can't do it in English.
This game has made me come up with a thesis about that, actually.
Oh, yeah?
My thesis is that, as far as you describing it as cool or adding depth, I think that might only work for people for whom it's a second language. My new thesis is that if you told anybody in Japanese any of these situations, from like a manga or something, they'd be like, okay, child.
Yeah, you say that, but I have read about like these businessmen still read manga on the train.
Sure, yeah, I agree.
So adults still read it.
Sure, I know that manga and video games, the stuff that gets over here is a marginal part of the overall Japanese culture experience, right? Like it's still considered very fringe. And so what you think might be clever, they'll just be like, oh my God.
I see it. When I say that, obviously, I'm thinking of my favorite franchises, which tend to lean a little bit towards older people.
Sure. And I'll also
I'm
say
sure
this.
A lot of puns in Naruto are really, really bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, what informs that also for me is like One Piece. There's a whole fight that's nothing but food puns, because the guy's like a giraffe, and like he attacks him with like basically stuff that could be read as this type of slash, but it's, nigiri, which just means sushi.
Yeah,
so they're just making,
I know. I got you. Nigiri as in the cut, double cut, but it's sushi. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I think, I agree with you. It depends on what sorts of franchises we're talking about. You're talking about very, very shonen. Yeah. And I can see, shonen puns are probably the not good ones.
Probably. Of course, neither of us knows for sure, but that's my impression.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to defer to you on this one, actually, because I know you've studied deeper than I have. So maybe. I just don't... We can agree that we don't think he has executed that properly here, and maybe needs to get some reference or outside expertise in this matter. Right.
What I'm thinking about is, obviously, I'm not gonna go into it right now. I know, because this is not what this is. Because I really like Fate stuff, obviously. And the wordplay you're talking about, where nigiri also means sushi, but it also means this, the double cut or whatever. What I'm thinking about is more, they'll name people's last names in such a way that it pertains to the character's abilities or backstory or whatever it is, but they still make it so that it's a last name that makes sense in Japan. So if you told someone that's your last name in Japan, they wouldn't do a double take.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's kind of what I'm talking about.
I see. So wait, what's the secret meaning behind Tosaka?
There isn't one. That's just the normal last name.
Debunked. Myth busted.
But that's what I mean. It's not for every character. It's because it's not. Right. If when you do it for every character, you're doing Kojima shit.
Yeah, man.
Because he does do it for every character.
Yeah, it rolls
Mads
off your
Mikkelsen
back
is called the veteran.
No, his name is Cliff Unger.
Yes, but the Unger means something.
No, actually, I think I looked it up. It doesn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's exempt.
Okay, good. Are you sure? Because it might mean something in Dutch.
Oh, no. Let's see. Actually, it will be, again, this is why I corrected. It will be Danish. Okay, thank you.
I know, I said that on purpose. As a touch on purpose.
The same way you've been doing Red Bull this whole time on purpose?
No,
allegedly?
that I have not. I've legitimately been calling it the wrong thing this entire
Yeah.
time.
The same way I also have been trying to mix up ha and ka, but then accidentally getting them right.
I also want to point out something that's funny, but only to me.
Please do.
Which is sometime during this review, we've turned on the light in our room and our Red Bull bottles and vodka bottles have disappeared. Now
Yeah,
I don't know why, but I've turned the lights back off. There you go.
Okay. Well, I think we're just about done. I don't want to extend. Yeah, I don't want to pay for more room time. I think we're about done. We could probably wrap it up.
Yeah. Let's talk about the BB real quick. Because there's not
What
too much
about?
to talk about. It's a baby.
Okay, yeah, she's a baby. I will say I'm still proud of this call. You remember this? Like halfway through the game, I was like, Johnny, I've got it. This is my big brain moment.
Uh-huh.
The only reason to make movement annoying, any other game, they'd be like, the movement has to be fun to use. So
Right.
this guy, and I'd be like, the only reason to make movement annoying to this extent is to make it part of the story. And that's because the baby is Sam, man. We're carrying around our own baby. And that's not exactly correct. But
But it's in line with what they were trying to do.
do you think that's actually why movement is annoying? Because you're a baby that doesn't know how to walk? Because
No, because I think you're giving them more credit than deserved. I really think you're giving them more credit than they deserve.
I agree. No, there's no reason. All that to say, there's no reason for a human being to move this obnoxiously.
So, you know what? Hang on. I got some little things to bring up first before we're done here. Okay. So,
All right, go ahead.
one big thing, which we've already gotten feedback on this during our playtime, which is a lot of stuff that we complain about is in the codex.
I mentioned that for a second. I was like, 80% of people are not going to see that kind of stuff. If
Right.
you want it to be impactful, put it in the main story.
Right. And also, we've read quite a bit of the codex.
But we didn't do a lot of side quests that probably unlock additional emails and codexes.
True.
Yeah.
We don't see the full list. That's
Yeah.
true. I feel like we went out of our way to already read quite a bit of it, and
What we had, yeah.
the average player would read even less than we did.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now how many people even got past like the third boss. Let's see.
Oh, that's right. You're on Steam. You can see that. Right.
Yeah. Where did I categorize? I put this game in my poo category. Hang on.
I can't believe you did this.
I'm stand by my review.
I haven't even asked you what you think about the game yet, and you already told me you put it in your poo category.
Okay. Okay, so what was the chapter?
I don't know. This is your thing.
Oh, here we go. Okay. So episode 2. There's 14 episodes in the game, okay? So episode 2 is titled Amelie. That's when you get to the story and the city and they give you your main mission, right?
Okay.
Third chapter would be Fragile. So that would be like the first boss you actually get to the game. That's like 10 hours in, you get to the edge of the lake, and then you fight a guy.
That's the first Higgs fight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. 30% of players completed that chapter. 32.4%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a really bad number.
Yeah. So if
Especially
somebody tries to...
because this it's not like a $10 game.
Yeah, this is a full price game. Yeah.
Oof, that's a bad number for a full price game.
Yeah. So for somebody to be telling us like you missed it because it's in the codex, you expect us to be better than 80% of 30% of everybody who bought this game expecting something incredible.
Yeah. So this is as we talked about when we started this is for a very specific kind of person that we are not it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So cool. I just wanted to bring that up because I'm sure a lot of people will be like, "Hey, stop complaining about this shit," because they did explain it. Well, this is in the vein of we watched a movie, we didn't understand it, and people were like, "You should have just read the book, idiot."
Yeah.
And we're like, but we signed on to play a game, not read a visual novel.
You can't appease those people. I'm exempt from those arguments because I managed to enjoy Tenet, as did you, I think. So I think we're probably fine.
Tune in for our Tenet review in the future.
Yeah, I'd review Tenet, man. It was an okay movie.
I don't think I can. I understood it not enough to review it.
Nah, what's there to understand? It didn't happen yet. It's fine.
Okay. So the other thing I wanted to bring up, which I thought was, I want to get your take on this primarily,
Oh, you do? Okay.
which is when you go into your private room as Norman Reedus, there's a sink
Okay.
with a mirror.
Oh, I remember this now.
Yeah. So let me explain this first, and then I'll get your take on it. So you can get Norman Reedus to walk towards the sink, look at himself in the mirror, and then the best way I can describe it is emote at the mirror. He'll slap his face. He'll do a little cool pose. He'll do like bang bang gun pose at the mirror. You can get him to sit on the mirror, examine his teeth, examine his beard, whatever it is. None of that does anything. They're purely emotes. And I want to say there's 4 or 5 different actions you can do there. What is that? What is that?
Is this, you want my take now?
Yeah.
You done? Oh, Johnny, you poor fool. Are you telling me that you didn't read the chiral reflection emotogram index entry that explains that you can increase your like-sin by emoting to yourself periodically?
So you can like yourself, is what you're saying?
I don't know.
So you can give yourself likes.
No, I think that seems to me like purely a check out what we can do in this neat engine kind of thing, and then no other purpose.
Yeah, I agree. That's just, we really like Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
Wait,
I have a more detailed take, actually.
Oh, okay.
A lot of the things in this game seem to have been done for the memes. His choice of branding Monster was a meme in America. When he went on Conan O'Brien, which is a comedy show, Conan was like, "Can I be in?" And he was like, "Hell yeah, the memes." Jeff Keighley is, in many people's eyes, he's a serious businessman or whatever, but he's also kind of a meme to us.
Uh-huh.
Many of the things in this game seem to have been for the memes. Perhaps this was one of them.
You said Jeff Keighley. Was he in the game?
Yeah, he was.
Huh?
Yeah, you didn't notice?
No, where?
Yeah, we bumped into Jeff Keighley for a second, I think.
Oh, was he just one of the side quest guys?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I want to be honest with you. If a side quest guy, I probably tuned him out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this then, which is that whole segment where you can zoom in and emote at the mirror is with Norman Reedus. Why didn't he get one of his hot model girls to do this as well?
I'm sorry, so your suggestion is that when you walk up to the sink in your room where you are Norman Reedus, you zoom up to the mirror, and a hologram of a hot, busty lady would take his place.
No, I didn't say that. I was implying you could do something along the lines of, because you can, let's say, call Fragile into your room, right?
Oh yeah, and then she would vogue for you.
Right.
Let me just tell you right now, with absolutely no shame whatsoever, I would play that game in a heartbeat.
You should check out MGS4. I keep saying this. I could be getting it wrong. It might be 3. I think it's 4, but it might be 3.
But think about that for a second.
Way.
A supermodel comes into your room. She takes off her clothes and gets in a bikini, but also she's really old from the neck down. And then you're encouraged to take photographs of her. I would be in that chair taking the photographs, playing it, and like, what am I playing? This is so weird. I love it.
I'd stream that. Just that segment. Nothing else in the game. Just that segment.
Yeah, we think it's funny, but that's also something you would do for the memes. So, how much better are we?
That's all the side stuff I wanted to bring up. Did you have anything you want to bring up?
Nope.
Okay, so Jared.
Uh-huh.
What did you think of Death Stranding?
What did I think of Death Stranding? Well, I've gone on at length about all the things that I found cumbersome and annoying about it, and how it didn't really engage me in any aspect. I've spent like 2 consecutive hours complaining about every aspect that I've been asked, so I can now say that Death Stranding is an absolute masterpiece. I can see
9
why
out of 10.
it wasn't everyone's. You know, I loved every second. The story is intriguing. The gameplay varies between relaxing and intensely scrutinizing of every aspect of your psyche. It is a full-fat Kojima experience, and you can't miss it.
Nice.
Yep.
Would you play his next game?
I'm concerned that I may have to now, so I don't have a negative opinion of him and say he knows what he's doing.
Oh, so your opinion of him doesn't just stay where it is now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry to say that I may now be stranded in the Kojima-verse and forced to play his next game.
I hate you. I hate you. Do you need a rope? I can pull you out. I got a rope.
I need a rope to hang myself after.
Oh, god damn it. My feelings on this game is very, very complicated. In the sense that there are obviously people that this game is for. But I do strongly believe that the people that would very, very much enjoy this game is such a tiny minority that it would be safer to just tell everyone I know to not bother.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think if you just randomly pick 20 people that I know, none of them would like it. Or let's say one. Let's say 1 out of 20 people would really, really love it. The other 19 would be a waste of money for them. So I can't, in all good-heartedness, recommend it to the 20 just in case the one would enjoy it.
For sure, that's fair. Yeah, if I don't know why you would like this, I'm not going to take the risk and be like, maybe you'll like it.
Yeah, and I want to say that I think I'm fairly open-minded about the fact that some people just like games that I don't like, and I can kind of see why they would. But in this particular case, my only thinking is you would like this because it's a fairly cool movie if you just see it as a movie. But then that gets immediately offset by the fact that, but if I did get you to play it, most of the time you doing this would not be the movie part.
Yeah.
So I would go, hey, if you really like Kojima stuff, watch someone play it on a stream or YouTube Let's Play or something. Don't buy it yourself.
Hang on, let me back you up on this. I'm going to go one step more cynical than you just did, which usually you're more cynical and I'm surprised. So I'm going to take all the heat on this one. Most of the people that I hear about that are like, this game is incredible and they're like truly engaged by it, I'm going to be honest, when I hear them say that, I think less of them. I think you are one of simple mind.
Wait, Jared, stop.
Yeah?
My OBS crashed again!
Did it crash when I finished saying that?
No, you need to say it again.
Oh, well, we have the
start from the cynical part, okay?
Oh man, okay.
But this okay because this, even if it breaks again, this is the last one anyway.
Okay.
And count.
1, 2, 3,
4.
Okay, so what was I saying? Oh, so I was saying that I'm gonna go one step further than you did of your measured response. Usually, when it comes to like giving the hard truth about something, you're more cynical than I am, and it surprises me. So I'm gonna take the heat on this one. I'm gonna give just the realest truth, okay? And that is, there are those people that this game is for, and they say Death Stranding is a masterpiece. And I'm gonna be real with you, when I hear them say that, and they're like, it's definitive, it's engaging, it requires you to solve problems. When I hear people say that, I think less of them. Okay? I read that and I think you are one of simple mind.
That's harsh, man.
I've been very measured this whole time. I just had to get some of it out. I'm serious.
That's really harsh.
Yeah, I don't care. What?
Yeah, no,
Cancel
I got you. I got you. It's also possible that the we didn't really talk about this very much, but the game looks gorgeous. It's a beautiful game. Beautiful game.
yeah.
It controls really well. The parts where it doesn't were intentional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they put in mechanics to mess with your control of the game. Had they not, it would have controlled really well.
I mean, sure. That's just a direction problem, right? That's like we chose to make this unenjoyable for you on purpose because it immerses you.
I guess what I meant is responsive. It's very responsive.
Sure. Yeah. Fair.
So what I'm trying to get at is, I think maybe a lot of people gets a little bit blindsided by the production quality of the game.
Sure. Oh, wait, hang on. I would take issue with that. I wouldn't end up describing this game as responsive because the default mode of it is menu management. So just because of all of the systems you have to navigate, it ends up being a net negative in the responsive department.
Okay.
If I was going to describe the typical experience of playing Death Stranding, I wouldn't describe it as a responsive experience. It's an experience in guidance and inventory management and menus.
Yeah. What I agree. What I was trying to say is that it's a good engine. It's a solid engine. It runs really well on my very, very old PC.
Oh yeah, fair. Yeah.
And I don't have to make it look ugly. I can still make it look gorgeous, and it still runs perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So technically, it's great. Graphically, it's great. Animations are great. No, I've no complaints about the sound design other than the fact that it has the same problem as movies do, where the balancing levels of dialogue versus sound effect versus music gets really messy.
Yeah, that's a situation you run into when you're trying to be a creator also and balance the output audio. A typical player wouldn't experience that.
I can see that. As far as I remember, there's no specific dials, right?
Yeah, there's just the one master volume.
Yeah, because it's a movie, and you're not supposed to be able to tone down the explosion of the of Optimus.
Yeah.
When Optimus blows up, it's supposed to hurt your brain.
Strandimus Prime. Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's it. We're good, right?
Did we finally finish?
Yeah. If I forced you to give this an out of 10, what would you do?
You forced me to give it an out of 10?
Yeah.
I don't negotiate with terrorists. 0. I mean, I look at it as a yes-no, right? And would I play it? No. Do I know somebody who would play it? No. Do I know what I'm talking about?
Okay, so
No.
you're a 10 out of 10 or a 0 out of 10 kind of person.
That's it, okay?
And you're giving it a 0 out of 10.
Correct.
Okay, fair enough.
What about you? What's your...
So I'm thinking about it right now. I intentionally didn't think about this beforehand.
That seems like a bad idea.
No, that's a good idea. No, because you get to hear my thought process. So here's what it is, okay? I have obviously a fairly negative view of the game, and
Sure.
I generally like to give things like a pretty high/moderate score. But then I think to myself, I can't give this a good score because I'm so negative on it. That means, for example, if I gave this a 7, that means all the other games that I gave a 7, I think it's on the same level as this.
Yeah.
Which is not okay. So I'd have to give this like a 4 out of 10.
Which feels wrong because of the production value. I see where you're at.
Right. It's like, it's not a 4 out of 10, but because it's a scale and I have to compare everything else to this, I have to give it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I think one of the key things for us is intentionalness, right? Going back to the Tenet example, right? You know they had to be very intentional about how they shot that movie so they could reverse the shit and be like, well, obviously our intention in this movie is that we're going to be telling a story about people walking in reverse. So why don't you go in that hallway and fight yourself backwards? All right, let's see how it looks. And in this game, it seems like they didn't have to have any of that intentionality. Like if you just had everybody walk onto set with the script that day with no context, it would have come out exactly the same. Okay, Sam, welcome to the set. You're carrying a box.
You're extremely harsh on Kojima's writing, which is great.
Well, remember, because Mikkelsen said he doesn't know the story still. So with no context, if you hear an actor talk about creating a character, they're like, it's important that you know your own backstory. And Obviously, it wasn't in this case.
I forgot that I was the one that told you that Mikkelsen, after he's done shooting, said he doesn't really know the story of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there was another interview with Norman Reedus, which is him after the fact going, I think I kind of understand now.
Yeah.
Which is not good.
Yeah.
If he doesn't understand during the shoot, how is he supposed to act?
This is a layman's perspective, okay? But cinematography...
We're not actors, obviously, or directors or anything like that.
Cinematography means every single second is intentional on the screen. You have absolute full control over what shows up on the screen. And so a cinematographer says, what's the message that we're trying to show here? Like, what's the subtext? How can I put that on the screen in a way that is not obviously being spoken to the viewer? Like, I'm going to block... Okay, so this movie is about things being hard to change. So what I'm going to do is every shot is going to be from a static angle so that they feel stuck. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's the subtext. And...
Well, good cinematography. There are tons of good movies they don't do that.
Right, exactly. Right.
We're going to shoot from here because it's cheap here.
Right.
We're going to shoot from here because we didn't finish decorating that part of the set.
Right, sure. But the point is that for the actors to participate in that subtext, you would think they need to know what's going on. They'd be like, okay, just the most recent example I can think of. Spider-Man Spider-Man Homecoming, the one with the Miles and the giant...
Never Going Home.
No. No, Into the Spider-Verse, right? The actor that played...
the CG one. Yeah,
the CG one. Okay. The giant big boss, Kingpin. He was like, oh, when I did the voice acting for this, I put some I think he put some tissue in his nose. He tried to act in such a way as if the character had his nose broken in the past because he was a street brawler. He actually said that. He was like, that was my choice. I tried to make him sound more, like in the throat and in the back.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's a detail that he got to pick up on because he knew what was going on.
Yeah, he knew what the character was.
Yeah.
And it would make sense that he's been injured in the past.
Yeah. I get the feeling that Kojima plays this close to the chest and is like, no, people pay really close attention. I don't want to give anything away to anybody. And that limits the collaborativeness of the effort. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you look at something like I can direct this to a one-to-one example of what's happening in the game. Mads Mikkelsen is a veteran.
Yeah. Every
second you've seen him, he's already been a veteran, right?
Yeah.
So you think during his acting, at any point, was he directed to be like, your movements are very precise and calculated because you're a combat veteran. That's all you do. So every movement should be calculated and precise because that's what you're about, right? And you can mix in little things that hints at the fact that your leg's been injured in the past, etc., etc., etc. I don't think none of that happened. And no, absolutely not.
Well, what I'm picturing in my head now is the moment where he's kind of drunk and doing like ballroom dancing and falls on his ass. So
well, he's drunk, so that's different.
Right. But yeah, no, I agree.
But it's safe to say none of that was in the direction of the acting during the scenes.
Yeah, I would say so. Probably not. Yeah. Or if it was in such a subtle detail that we mixed it completely.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. It's possible. Yeah. I do miss things pretty easily.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. I think that's it for our review. We gave our scores 0 and 4. I can't believe you gave it a 0. You serious?
I stand by it. Okay.
So I want to give like a little quick applause to anyone that can even hear this, because I believe this is gonna be at least 2 hours of review.
2.5 hours. Hey, if you're here, you're a real one, champ. You made it. Welcome
let me put some codes to a free game. Right?
Oh, do that shit. That would be incredible.
No, I'm not gonna do that. Look forward to our next review. What I have written here is Sonic Boom: Rise of Lyric.
Yeah, you can go fuck yourself, okay? Fucking no.
You don't want to.
I mean, wait. hang on. I actually kind of like Sonic games, so I'll play it. You won't, though.
I don't think you want to, because I believe this is one of the worst Sonic games.
Is Sonic Boom the one where... Hang on. Is the one I'm thinking of where you can... It's like Mario Galaxy?
I don't know, but goodbye, everybody. Thank you guys for watching our review.
Wait, Johnny.
Yeah.
Hey, Johnny.
Yeah?
We've got
Yeah?
Dooms, Johnny. We got Dooms.